This story opens with a simple premise, 3 rules to follow. At a new academy, an instructor welcomes his students to their first lesson. He stresses that this is a lesson everyone absolutely needs to learn. Rule 1 is to protect the innocent, and backing out is not an option. Next up is honor and integrity, as he singles out a student named Novice. This third rule is to serve with humility, a real hero's checklist. Novice just smirks, looking way too cool with his little bat familiar. With a dramatic flair, the instructor prepares for the big reveal. He yanks a sheet off the teaching aid for the class, and it is a tied-up victim because the lesson is how to efficiently drink blood. All the other students are just thrilled, sporting some truly evil grins. Novice, meanwhile, looks completely bewildered by this turn of events. He has somehow ended up at a literal vampire academy. Flashing back 6 months, we see a group of people fleeing through a forest. They have been captured by bandits and the situation looks hopeless, but a lone adventurer was there to challenge the attackers. It is Novice from his hero days, facing down a whole mob of enemies. His tiny winged companion lets out a cry and starts to glow, casting a powerful acceleration spell on our boy, and Novice launches himself into the fight like a bolt of lightning. This bandit leader is floored by his opponent's sheer power. This white-haired guy moves like a storm, tearing through the bandits. He blitzes past the leader for a single decisive strike, and that is a blade straight through the chest, looking pretty final. Impressed, the leader says he has finally met someone with backbone. He even tells the hero to just kill him and take the prize. But the hero clarifies the bounty was for unleashing monsters on merchants. Then he drops the bomb. The bandit leader is Novice Stormrider. His remaining goons are absolutely stunned by this turn of events. Novice, however, just taunts the guy for not finishing him off. As he is dragged away, he actually tries to claim the moral high ground. He even has the nerve to complain about the mess the hero made. Then he questions the logic of slaying monsters but sparing him. Our boy just keeps spewing threats, promising regret for this mercy. This white-haired hero, for his part, looks completely unbothered. A companion claps his shoulder, saying he followed their code. No humans died. Another ally, Park, tells him to ignore Novice's trash talk. This hero seems to agree, his resolve hardening. Their group makes its way towards Rosswood Village, and they parade Novice and his captured crew right through the town. This townspeople are singing his praises. Since Novice joined, no one's died. Every monster he slaughters is apparently a beacon of hope for humanity. Park, ever the supportive bro, checks to see if our boy is doing okay. But Novice is having a full-on existential crisis, questioning if their path is right. His buddy tries to reassure him, saying the Order would be proud of how they handled the bandits. Novice, however, looks completely unconvinced by this pep talk, and we flash back to a younger, bloodied Novice thanking a mysterious savior. This kid's got no money to pay him back, looking totally helpless. His rescuer just tells him to become an adventurer he can be proud of, classic hero fuel. Then we get a quick history lesson on the guild, monsters, and a powerful king. Over time, the monsters got way stronger and the wanted posters piled up. Entire towns were burning as the threat escalated beyond control. So the king gave talented adventurers a power called the system. Hello, game mechanics. Novice himself is chosen, standing before the king with his little familiar. He explains his code: protect the innocent, honor, and humility. Hey, those are the vampire rules. As one of the strongest, he was selected to fight for humanity, and it all started at a humble level 1 with his tiny, top-hat-wearing companion. His whole motivation is to get stronger to make the Order proud. This goal is to hit level 40, and he is already at 35 with some beefy stats. Back in the present, Park tries to cheer him up by mentioning his local nickname. This team heads back to the Duskwatch Guild Hall, and Park spots his buddy returning from the field. But Novice walks right past everyone, straight to the quest board. The grind never stops. He immediately yanks a flyer off the wall, already focused on the next job. His ally Sly tries to stop him, asking if he ever takes a day off. Novice just shows him the quest, a missing person case nobody wants to touch. Sly points out it is because the reward is garbage for a mission in a monster den. He even argues it has been a week, so the person's chances are basically 0. But our boy is committed, saying even a tiny chance is worth fighting for. Sly just sighs, wishing Novice could be a normal, greedy adventurer for once. To which Novice replies that the reward is within oneself. What a dork. Another teammate tells Sly he should know by now there is no stopping Novice in hero mode. This guy, Scarface, reveals he is retiring and wants his last quest to be a noble rescue. Sly is completely blindsided by the final quest announcement. With a kid on the way, Scarface is done, so Novice offers to handle the mission alone. Sly immediately shuts that down, citing the 3-person party rule he is coming with. After all, someone has to protect the protector. Novice looks genuinely touched by the nickname, and Scarface confirms it is what they call him after he has saved them so many times. Park tries to volunteer, but Sly tells him to sit this one out and heal his injury. Sly reminds Park that he follows the same rules as Novice, so he has to stay and guard the guild. With that settled, the 3-man party heads out into the twilight. They soon arrive at a quiet farmstead on the edge of town, and Novice gets right to it, asking the client why his brother went into the Chlorif caves. This guy explains his little brother was just chasing after some runaway cattle. It seemed like a normal chore until an hour passed and he never came back. Sly immediately asks the obvious question, did he even try to look for him? But the brother says he's the only one left to work the farm and would have been killed by monsters anyway. All he can do, he says, is just hope his brother is still alive out there. And if he is not, he just wants to be able to bury his body properly. Sly turns to Novice, putting the final decision squarely on his shoulders. He points out the kid's been missing a week, so his chances are basically zero. Novice's eyes just flare with that signature hero energy, and with a determined smile he says bringing closure to this man is worth it. So they accept the quest, telling the guy not to expect a miracle. This brother collapses to the ground, seemingly overcome with emotion. But then we get a close-up on his eye, and it is glowing a very sinister red. His whole demeanor shifts as he wonders what those adventurers are really up to. Meanwhile, the team arrives at the entrance to the aptly named Chlorif Caves. Scarface spots fresh blood on the wall, and nobody's sure if that is a good sign or a terrible one. Inside the cave, Sly points out the obvious lack of monsters. Novice gives the classic "we must stick together" speech. Teamwork makes the dream work. They venture deeper into the den, which feels more like a giant maze. Scarface groans that exploring this whole place could take them days. Suddenly, a powerful gust of wind blasts through the tunnel. It snuffs out their torches, leaving them in total darkness. Novice, completely unfazed, tells his team to just hang on a second. He activates his Illuminate skill, whipping up a personal flashlight. But a creepy red eye is watching them from a crack in the wall. Our boy rubs his own eyes, thinking he is just seeing things. He stares hard at the spot, trying to get a better look. And now there is nothing there, must have been his imagination. Scarface asks if he is okay, joking that he looks like he saw a ghost. Oh, you have no idea. Then Novice's eyes widen in pure, undiluted terror. Because a monster just materialized right behind Sly's surprise. He screams out a warning, but it is already too late. This creature lunges forward, all teeth and claws. Sly just starts to turn, completely oblivious to the danger. And a hand bursts clean through his chest from behind. He just looks down in disbelief because this was not on the agenda. Novice is just staring because the monster that got Sly looks eerily familiar. His mind flashes back to Park's words about their code being absolute. At the same time, Scarface is bleeding out, knowing he has to do something. He just begs Novice to kill the creature that got him a final request. Our hero is completely shattered, unable to process what just happened to Sly. And the monster, some twisted woman, just sneers at their despair. This whole nightmare sends him spiraling into a flashback of another cave. He is with two different teammates, a swordsman and a mage. His little familiar screams a warning about an attack from behind, and Novice whips around, absolutely furious. He immediately pops his Accelerate skill, going into overdrive, vowing that he is absolutely not losing anyone else on this mission. One of his allies is fighting a monstrous clone of himself, and the doppelganger is just cackling, enjoying the chaos. A blur of light zips past as Novice slices the copy in half, leaving his teammate completely stunned by the clutch save. He regroups with his crew, who can barely believe they are still standing, but they realize someone's missing. They cannot find their Sly. Our boy has to break the news that Sly is already gone. And his familiar's scream snaps him right back to the present horror. Novice's eyes narrow, snapping back to the flashback with pure focus. A shadowy beast with glowing red eyes looms over them in the darkness. It immediately unleashes a massive crisscrossing claw attack, but Novice is ready, popping a skill to throw up a defensive shield. His crescent block lights up, ready to take the hit. This block holds strong, deflecting the attack just in time. As the red energy fades, the immediate danger seems to pass. His swordsman buddy is all smiles, telling the mage Novice has got this. Famous last words, probably. Novice shouts for their mage, Stefan, to light up the cave so they can see. Stefan, bless his heart, is shaking like a leaf but agrees to cast the spell. He raises his staff, summoning a powerful Illuminate spell, and the light reveals they are surrounded by clones of their own swordsmen. Suddenly, some red gunk drops from the ceiling, making the clones scream in agony. One of them clutches his head, writhing in pain from the mysterious substance. Novice watches this unfold with a cold, calculating smirk. Uh-oh, that is not a hero face. He activates Accelerate and instantly blitzes one of the clones, severing its hands. This clone just screams, staring at its bloody stumps. Standing over the fallen copy, Novice looks down without a shred of pity. But then he freezes, realizing these monsters look completely human. Because at that moment, the asterisk real swordsman is swinging his own blade, looking just as monstrous. This swordsman skewers one of his own clones, yelling at Novice to look at them. He knows our boy does not like to kill, but he points to the monster's face, asking how anyone could call it human. Novice just stands over the body of the clone he just took down, and his face is just a cocktail of horror and confusion. His ally basically says if Novice cannot finish the job, he will. Then he just straight up attacks Novice, their swords clashing. This guy is ranting about how these things are just monsters, but Novice is barely blocking, shocked by his friend's speed. His teammate is just screaming that their strength is insane. Even Novice's familiar is freaking out because he cannot ignore the look in their eyes. It is a bloodlust that is completely off the charts. Suddenly, the swordsman's own eyes glow red as he decides to activate a skill. And yeah, that is not the face of a stable individual. He uses Great Push, blasting Novice backward with a powerful strike. After a quick nice, the swordsman dashes off into the fray. He immediately moves to finish off another one of his copies, but a shadowy figure in the background wonders what is going on. This observer is surprised that the Paladin Novice is keeping up with their fighters. So the new strategy is to get rid of their mage, Stefan, first. Stefan gets snatched from the darkness, screaming for his team. This new villain lifts him by the throat, complaining about the bright light. Our poor mage is just trembling, completely helpless. Novice absolutely loses it, screaming Stefan's name, and a single tear rolls down Stefan's cheek because this is it. This villain mocks him, calling staff wielders fragile little toys. Back to back, Novice and the swordsman Grant prepare for a fight, both of them looking absolutely furious and ready to throw down. So Novice pops his Holy Barrier skill level 3 no less, throwing up a shield to protect them both. A massive hexagonal dome covers the two of them, but the bad guy just smirks, calling it flashy before winding up a punch. He smashes right through the barrier with one hit, so much for level 3. Grant can only look up in shock as the shield shatters above him, then a huge beam of red energy just slams down on his position. Now the villain stands over Grant's body while Novice cannot believe how fast that was. Our boy is knocked to the ground, completely stunned by the turn of events. He just stares in disbelief, refusing to accept what just happened. But the villain's boot on Grant's chest says it all, it is over for him. Novice screams his friend's name, his aura flaring with pure rage. His holy aura just explodes with blue lightning. This villain just watches as Novice comes flying in. But the guy blocks the sword with his bare hand, no problem. He even has the nerve to call Novice a monster. And Novice absolutely loses it, screaming he will never be like him. Meanwhile, some eye-patch dude is monologuing about a king making warriors. His familiar Chip tells him to go all out, and our boy is ready to risk it all, even if it is his last fight. This all goes back to a promise he made as a kid, a dream where no one has to suffer like he did. This villain seems genuinely interested now, which is never a good sign. He challenges Novice to show him what a human can really do. So they just charge at each other, a blur of red and blue energy. And the bad guy is loving this, saying Novice is too good to waste. Then a bunch of shadowy monsters pop up behind our boy. One of them, a woman, lands a nasty slash across his chest. He is completely stunned, coughing up blood from the hit, barely staying on his feet, using his swords to prop himself up. This attacker just grins, her eyes glowing red with malice, and they just go to town, tearing into him as he screams. This villain's monstrous hand reaches out for our boy. He grabs Novice by the hair, telling him not to worry, promising he will not die here, which is the most threatening thing you can possibly say. Then he just goes full vampire and bites him right on the neck. Novice is completely stunned, blood splattering from the wound. His last thought is just how badly he failed in the end. After that, the villain just drops him, disappointed he could not take him along. Chip is absolutely losing his mind, screaming for Novice. He is trying to shake him awake, yelling that they are all gonna die. Great morale boost, buddy. This villain is busy monologuing about what a lame protector Novice was when he notices a gleam. And a massive holy attack just slams right into his chest. A blonde swordsman appears, looking like he's been through a war himself. With a look of pure determination, he says he finally made it. He reveals a gnarly wound, saying he managed to save Novice this one time. His hand is shaking, barely holding on by a thread. Calling Novice protector, he starts to collapse. And the guy just faceplants, his last-ditch effort complete. This villain pulls the adventurer's sword from his chest, shocked the guy was even alive. He is confused, hearing Novice thank someone named Sly, because our boy is back on his feet, telling the villain this fight is far from over. Novice is absolutely feral, gritting his teeth in pure rage. He screams for the villain to die, unleashing a storm of blue lightning. All that holy power gets channeled right into his sword, and he just detonates, blasting the whole area with a massive spell. This shockwave just rips through the cavern, a tidal wave of pure righteous fury. Even the main villain is shocked, calling the power output impossible. But Novice is not done, pouring every last drop of power into this. This whole attack culminates in one massive holy explosion. After the dust settles, Novice is just slumped on the ground, completely spent. Chip flies over, panicking that they just used up all their mana. Novice just pants, insisting that attack should have been enough to finish it. Then he clutches his neck right where the villain bit him, and his eye starts to glitch out, turning a very ominous red. A giant warning sign pops up in his vision, never a good sign. He calls out for Chip as this dark energy starts to corrupt him. A red magic circle traps him, confirming something is very wrong. And yeah, the system announces it has been infected, so that bite was a virus. Suddenly, Novice is floating in some weird void, seeing Sly nearby. Our boy is completely bewildered, having no idea what is going on. In this red void, Novice sees 3 adventurers, Sly's old party, and Sly himself is there, totally freaking out about how he got here. But his old teammate just hits him with the ultimate guilt trip, asking why he failed them. Sly freezes on the spot, completely unable to answer the accusation. Then the vision gets way worse, with his whole party screaming at him, covered in blood. He tries to apologize, blaming his own weakness for what happened, and gets dragged down into a literal pool of blood for his troubles. This whole nightmare is just trying to drown him in his past failures. He is on his knees in the muck, completely broken by the memory. This guy is just losing it, screaming as the trauma hits him all at once. A ghostly face appears in the swirl, twisting the knife even further, mocking him for being a terrible protector, real supportive ghost friend. Sly just accepts it, thinking even with the system he was useless. He starts regretting some 3 rules he set for himself, wondering if he could have stopped this tragedy if he'd just broken them. All he can do is beg for this to be a nightmare, but the dripping blood says otherwise. This is all too real. Suddenly, Novice snaps awake with a scream, looking a little different. He is clutching his head, wondering if that was all a dream, his hair now stark white. But a quick glance at his fallen comrades confirms the brutal reality of their defeat. Novice stumbles to his feet, the attack slowly coming back to him. He is trying to piece together what happened in the wrecked cavern. This whole place is just rubble and dust. A question hangs in the air, is any of this even real? Then the main villain appears, cheerfully confirming Novice is not in fact going crazy. Our boy, still covered in blood, calls out for his familiar Chip. Completely bewildered, he asks what happened to his little buddy, and Chip pops up with a brand new look, a little red devil in a top hat, feeling weird. Novice is not amused, while Chip panics about having 10 eyes. Great time for an identity crisis, pal. He explains that navigators are unique and should not just change on a whim. Which means if Chip is different, the whole system is compromised. Cue the giant warning sign. Yep, the system confirms it has been infected, thanks to that little vampire bite from earlier. Gritting his teeth, Novice tells Chip to pull up his status window anyway, and his whole profile is a mess. Race, error level 1. His level and stats are completely reset, though he notes they are pretty beefy for a level 1. Plus, there is a brand new sense stat he has never even heard of before. Chip points out a system reset is impossible without the king's approval, which they definitely did not get. But Novice puts a pin in that, deciding they need to find their friends' bodies first. So the search begins through the desolate landscape. After hours of looking, there is nothing, leaving him to wonder if they somehow escaped. Novice is getting desperate, suggesting they head back to the village for help. Chip tries to keep his spirits up, but our boy is clearly feeling the failure. Then he asks a very pointed question about monster venom that can infect people. Specifically, if it can completely change them, like say to race error. Chip confirms poison is a thing, but the whole rewriting your species concept is new to him. As Novice practices his swing, his mind drifts back to the cave. He remembers how human those monsters looked, sparking a horrible theory, which sends him into a full-blown panic, thinking he is a monster. Do I have 10 eyes now? He immediately tries to play it cool, telling Chip to just forget his little meltdown. This search has dragged on all night, and now the sun is rising. When the morning light hits his arm, he feels a strange heat. And by strange, I mean his arm starts smoking like it is on fire. He stumbles in agony, and even Chip feels sick. What is going on? A helpful system alert pops up to inform him he is now fatally allergic to sunlight. Novice just stares at the warning, refusing to believe this is happening. But the system doubles down, confirming his HP and stats are actively draining. Realizing he is on a timer, he tells Chip they need to find shade immediately. He spots a rock formation up ahead that offers some cover. With a final burst of speed, he dives into the shadow, collapsing in relief. And a new notification confirms his stats are back to normal, so he is a vampire now. Fantastic. He checks his stats again, still not believing this busted system is real, and right on cue, a new quest notification pops up. This objective is to consume human blood to restore his HP. Novice is a little concerned about his new dietary requirements. He is desperately trying to convince himself this has to be some kind of error, but the system offers a asterisk bonus for trying different blood types. Gotta catch 'em all, I guess. He tries to rationalize it, thinking maybe it is just a weird way of saying he is anemic, deciding his best bet is to just get back to the village and fix this mess. He steps out from behind the rock, immediately getting another sunlight warning. Our boy is still in denial, insisting the system is just broken. Sure, buddy. Then he stops dead in his tracks, sensing something in the woods. A sweet smell hits him, and his first thought is, are people nearby? Without thinking, he is zipping through the trees at inhuman speed, following the scent until he finds a small house in a clearing. His face just drops, seeing what is waiting for him, because he has just stumbled upon a dead body in a massive pool of blood. This smell is completely overwhelming, his new instincts flaring up. He cannot stop himself from reaching down, wondering why it smells so good. His eyes are glowing, the hunger totally taking over. And with the quest window taunting him, he thinks maybe just a little taste could not hurt. His hand hovers over the blood, temptation taking hold. This new instincts whisper for him to just take a little taste. But with a surge of willpower, he clenches his fist and refuses. He turns his back on the scene, declaring the dead should be left alone. A wave of horror hits him as he realizes what he almost did. He tells Chip they are leaving, needing to get away from this place now. As they walk off, a sinister red aura rises from the body. Suddenly, a bunch of little bat familiars swarm him, screaming that he is burning. He is sick of the notifications as his HP ticks down and his bloodlust grows. Novice grits his teeth, knowing he is on a timer before this new curse kills him, and the system helpfully reminds him of the consume human blood quest, which he is not a fan of. He brushes off Chip's concern, insisting they just need to reach the village ahead. Chip is immediately suspicious, asking how he could possibly know that. Our boy just calls it a hunch, looking way too intense for a simple guess. And what do you know, a village appears right on cue. Psychic powers now, I guess. He stops dead, covering his mouth as a new sensation hits him. This scent of people is overwhelming. He can smell all asterisk of them. He is completely bewildered by this new supersense. His vision hones in on the villagers, a walking buffet he cannot ignore. And he desperately tries to fight the urge, begging himself to stop. Slamming his hand against a tree, he tries to stop himself. Novice just bashes his head into it, anything to fight the urge. With so many people nearby, he knows he cannot risk going to that village. This thought of what he might do to them is absolutely terrifying him. Collapsing to the ground, he just screams in pure agony. This new hunger is completely tearing him apart from the inside. And a system alert helpfully informs him his bloodlust is rising. Thanks, game. Desperately, he tries to fight it, begging the thoughts to just stop. This new reality sinks in. Is this really his life now? As he stumbles away, a rustling in the bushes catches his attention, and a giant pissed-off boar comes charging out of the woods. Chip helpfully points out that his screaming probably attracted it. Real team player Chip Novice is stunned, a level 5 beast when he is stuck at level 1. This boar closes in, forcing him to react fast. With a burst of speed, he zips out of the way. This monster thunders past, missing him by inches. Shocked, Novice cannot believe he dodged that at level 1. He did not even use his speed skill, he just moved that fast, but there is no time to analyze his new stats. The boar is turning around. His plan is simple, create some space and go for the head. Novice winds up a punch, channeling some serious new power. He absolutely demolishes the boar's face with one hit. This impact just echoes through the entire forest, bam, and the boar is just down for the count, already smoking. Chip points out the obvious as the system grants him X for the one shot. Our boy stares at his hand, completely baffled by his own strength. Then it hits him, the blood is what is fueling this. He wonders if drinking the boar's blood might break the system's control. Meanwhile, Chip and his bat crew are feeling great now that it is nighttime. Novice realizes his new powers might be nocturnal, questioning if he is useless in the sun. Kneeling down, he knows he has to do something before his HP hits 0 for good. He reaches for the blood, willing to do anything to stop these urges, so he just licks it right off his fingers, going for it. This taste is immediately disgusting, making him gag in revulsion. He realizes animal blood just does not hit the same as that human corpse from earlier. Instead of helping, his bloodlust skyrockets as his HP drains even faster. This hunger is tearing him apart, and he begs the thoughts to stop. Glaring at the boar, he looks like he is about to snap. His hand closes around one of the beast's giant tusks, and with a sickening crack, he rips it right off the skull. With a crazed laugh, Novice decides this might be the only way out. He remembers his duty was to hunt monsters and protect people, so with some twisted logic, he concludes he has to protect them from himself, and he puts the tusk right to his own throat, ready to end it. Just then, a woman wanders out of the woods asking if he is okay, perfect timing. Novice turns, looking like a nightmare, and tells her she should not be here. His eyes glow red as he desperately begs himself not to lose control. His new senses are overwhelming, giving him a predator's view of her heartbeat. In a last-ditch effort, he slams the tusk into the ground to calm down, but a vision of his darker self sitting on a throne flashes in his mind. This inner demon looms over him, surrounded by the pulsing demand for blood. Back in reality, Novice is just screaming at the voice in his head to stop. He doubles over, trying to convince himself and her that he will not hurt her. She just sees a hurt guy, telling him to stay away for his own good. Getting impatient with his stubbornness, she reaches out to grab him anyway. This moment her hand touches his, the connection is electric. He can feel her heartbeat pounding like it is inside his own head. This sensation is so intense he can even sense the blood flowing through her veins. Completely oblivious, she just winks and pulls out a healing potion. She even complains about how expensive it is while pouring it out for him. But the potion is burning him, draining his HP even faster. Chip screams that this healing item is actually killing him, so Novice just smacks her hand away, not a great first impression. Clutching his head, he feels a sudden, shocking sense of calm. That overwhelming voice demanding blood is finally gone. Even Chip and the boys are asking if he is back to normal. This woman, completely unfazed, offers to take him to her camp for help, and our boy is immediately horrified by the thought of more people. He realizes the potion, while damaging, also suppressed his bloodlust. Chip, ever the helpful one, suggests just biting her instead, problem solved. His familiar argues it is a matter of survival and also, his own. This whole bat crew starts crying, begging him not to die on them. Novice notes that Chip has gotten way more pragmatic since this curse started. This desperate, selfish side of him is completely new. Meanwhile, the woman leads him on, mentioning strange monsters near her camp, which immediately gets Novice's attention. He asks if they looked human, and she is completely stunned, asking how he could possibly know that. Suddenly, something whips through the air at incredible speed. A rope trap snags her by the ankle, yanking her off her feet. And she is hoisted into the air, leaving Novice reaching out in shock. Monsters or not, Novice does not care, he is going in. With a firm step, he decides on his course of action, because his job is to protect people even from himself. He lands in a flash, but she is just gone, and now he is left wondering where she disappeared to. Time to try out his new sense skill while Chip offers some fantastic advice. But our boy just tries to concentrate on the task at hand, which immediately backfires as his senses go into total overload. Then a new, familiar smell hits him, and it is not a good one. Someone just clocks him from behind, knocking him out cold. And his HP drops by 1, which is just adding insult to injury. This bandits wonder why they even bothered with him, though apparently he is famous. While Chip desperately tries to wake him up from inside his own eyeball, Novice finally comes to, with a bat on his face, asking what happened. And he is clearly not feeling his best right now. Waking up tied inside a cage is a pretty good clue though, because it turns out they are in a full-blown bandit camp. That helpful woman is now giving orders to the bandit leader, smirking about how easily our adventurer fell for her little act. What an idiot. Chip is absolutely losing it, screaming that she tricked them from the start. A voice from the next cell over asks if he is another one of her victims. Turns out Novice is not her first sucker, she got this guy's whole party. In a flashback, his team was just trekking through the woods at night. Then a couple of them start feeling suspiciously tired, and that is when the dread starts to sink in. Next thing they know, the whole crew is out cold on the ground. One guy wakes up just long enough to beg his friend for help, only to see the bandit woman standing over them ready to strike. She even asks if they enjoyed her special drinks. What a hostess. Back in the present, a different prisoner is shocked she is from the guild, though the other guy figures that was a lie even with a fake quest. This white-haired prisoner is just drowning in guilt for pushing them into it, and the bandit leader's taunts about his code are not helping. Meanwhile, Novice is coughing up blood, that potion wound flaring up. Chip helpfully points out he's got about 30 minutes left to live. This white-haired guy sees the dark energy swirling around Novice, realizing something's up. As his bloodlust rises, Novice asks his new cellmate for one last favor. His new friend can only watch, completely helpless and tied up. Novice asks him to kill all the bandits if he manages to escape, because in his eyes they are not people, they are just monsters. Novice, covered in blood, decides to give his cellmate's death a purpose. So he bites right into the guy's neck, a twisted promise to use his strength for good. This bite floods his mind with the prisoner's memories of betrayal, and he realizes these bandits are the monsters his cellmate spared before. Standing over the body, Novice grimly accepts his new dark path. This system immediately rewards him for an HP restored and a brand new level. With a terrifying look, he vows to kill every last one of them. And of course, a new skill unlocks. Blood claws, because why not? We flash back to the prisoner's party where his code of honor already felt wrong. Turns out they were walking right into a trap set by a classic ransom note. Elsewhere, some other adventurers worry about Novice being missing, but one of them immediately gets taken down while scouting ahead. Back at the camp, the bandit woman approaches the cage looking smug. She taunts Novice, asking if he and his new dead friend are getting along. His silence makes her lose her cool, calling him swine. She actually gulps, thrown off by his complete lack of fear. Then Novice just spits right past her head, ultimate disrespect. He calls it a morning shower, which is just legendary sass. Absolutely furious, she orders her goons to wake the embarrassment up, because her whole plan is to ransom him to his rich family. One of the goons is confused why their big payday is just lying there, so the bandit woman slams the cage shut, yelling that he is their ticket to riches. She grabs Novice by the collar, demanding to know what happened to him, and now she is panicking. He was not supposed to die this soon. Then it hits her that they actually became friends in there, and he just gave her a very special gift right through the chest. This system dings with X, but she calls him a monster. Yeah, no kidding, lady. Her scream immediately alerts the entire bandit camp, and they are not happy their meal ticket just got permanently cancelled. Chip, ever the strategist, tells Novice to dump all his new stat points into agility. With a confident little wink, Chip knows exactly what he is doing. One of the bandits brings a massive cleaver down on Novice's head, but with that new agility, our boy just sidesteps it like it is nothing. Then he unleashes his brand new Blood Claws skill, ripping right through the bandit's torso in a flash of red. And boom, another 30x pops up for the kill. Novice immediately grabs the fallen bandit's sword, saying he will borrow it. This leader boasts about his speed, but Novice is on a whole other level now. He zips through the camp, taking out 3 more guys in a single bloody blur. With glowing red eyes, he promises them one simple thing: they are all dead. He carves a bloody path right through the camp, leaving bodies everywhere. And Chip is just relieved he finally blew off all that steam. Great support, buddy. Standing in the absolute carnage, Novice looks back at the empty cage, when suddenly a slow clap echoes from the trees. Someone's impressed. It is the bandit leader, here to mock Novice's now-defunct no-kill policy. This guy pulls a dagger, clearly ready for a fight, and he reveals they have met before. He thought Novice was already taken care of. He even calls him a monster created by the king, which is a fun new detail. Chip, ever the problem solver, just tells Novice to bite him. Novice agrees they deserved it, but gets a sudden warning to watch out, because the leader is already lunging, moving at an insane speed. Novice takes a hit, remembering he has beaten this guy before, but his level was reset. As their blades clash, our boy is seriously questioning if he can win this. He manages to block a downward strike with his new Bloodclaw hand, which actually gets the leader's sword stuck for a second, but the bandit is just too fast, landing a clean slash across Novice's chest. That is another 10 HP gone, leaving him with barely half his health. He stumbles back, realizing this guy is way too strong for him right now. This leader kneels, taunting him as a little system warrior, so he knows about it, and he grins, asking how it feels to be the weak one for a change. Chip chimes in that this guy would be a snack if Novice had his old skills. This bandit leader swings his sword down, ranting about taking away his morals. He lands a massive blow, screaming that they are exactly the same, but Novice just says he is nothing like him, much to the leader's shock. He caught the blade with his bare hand, activating blood claws at the cost of his own HP, and the sword just shatters against his glowing red fist. With a grim look, Novice thanks him for the reminder, then unleashes a devastating claw attack of his own. This swipe misses, carving a huge chunk out of a tree instead, leaving the leader spitting up blood from the sheer force of it. He is stunned, realizing Novice's new skill drains life force, not mana. Clutching his wounded arm, he still tries to taunt Novice about their similarities. This guy justifies his crew's slaughter as just survival, but Novice says he is different and no longer worthy of his friends. Meanwhile, that blonde adventurer is rushing through the woods to the rescue. This leader drops a bombshell. He is working with the guild, splitting the profits. Novice is floored since this is the second time he has heard about guild corruption, which just proves the leader's point: everyone is a monster deep down. He gives a smug look, completely confident in his twisted worldview. And Chip pops up, worried the show's about to end, just when it was getting good. Novice remembers his old friends, how he always killed the monsters for them. Now he is spiraling, wondering if the guild was just using him all along. He grabs the bandit leader, pure rage boiling in his eyes, and has a full-blown existential crisis, asking if his whole life was a lie. Chip, ever the pragmatist, suggests a little snack to get his HP back. This suggestion to drink more blood is, understandably, not going over well. Novice looks like he is about to throw up just thinking about it. His little helper just cannot keep up with this kid's moral whiplash, but Novice admits Chip has a point. Realizing in his current state he is a liability to everyone. With the guild being corrupt, he knows his old party members are in danger, but at his current level he is basically useless to them. So drinking this guy's blood is the only path to getting stronger, and he wonders if he will get a free memory download with his meal this time. He goes for the neck and the system rewards him with a new skill and stats ding. This taste is apparently extremely sweet, which is not at all concerning. No memories this time, but his whole body is buzzing with new power. It feels just like leveling up, and our boy is already hooked on the feeling. Just then, a rustle from the nearby bushes catches his attention, and it is the blonde adventurer finally showing up to the party. And just in time, his friend arrives to see the new him. She finds him mid-snack, looking completely unhinged over the bandit leader's body. A tense standoff from across the clearing begins. Novice tries to explain, which is a tough sell with blood claws still out. Understandably, she is not sticking around for a Q&A session. He calls out for her to wait, but she just books it out of there. Chip points out the obvious. She thought he was going to eat her next. Our boy starts questioning if the system made him do it or if he is just becoming this. He clutches his guild emblem, realizing he has broken his personal code. So he just shatters the thing, declaring himself unworthy to wear it. Chip, ever the pragmatist, just asks what the plan is now, but Novice knows he cannot control himself yet. He needs to master this power first, which Chip thinks is the best idea ever. Time to grind some levels. With his path set, Novice clenches his fist, ready for what is next. His new goal is to get strong enough to expose the corrupt guild pulling the strings. Chip then offers some helpful fashion advice, loot the corpse for new clothes, and Novice just shrugs, cause hey, he has already done way worse today. A few days pass and they have made it to a nearby town. Their destination is of course the Duskwatch Guild Hall. Inside, some adventurers are reminiscing about Novice, wondering where he went. Oh, the irony. One of Novice's old party members, Park, is holding out hope they are still alive, but his companion reminds him they have been gone way too long for that. Park gets heated, refusing to believe anyone could have beaten his friends, when someone off-screen just yells at him to accept they are gone. He slams his fist on the table, absolutely furious at the suggestion, and the guy is just seething, not ready to let go of his denial. Just then, a couple of rival adventurers stroll into the guild hall. One of them, Taxon, immediately starts gloating that they are the new top dogs. Park calls him out, reminding him Novice used to clean up all his messes. This two get in each other's faces, with Taxon smugly taking all the credit, but Park is not having any of this disrespect for his missing friend. So Taxon grabs him, claiming he was the one who took out the bandits this time. This rest of the guild actually buys it, thinking Taxon is the new number 2. This guy just laughs, knowing the king will pick a new system user eventually. Then he struts off to collect the reward for a job he absolutely did not do. Park is disgusted, but a part of him wonders if Taxon is telling the truth. Even the blonde adventurer is trying to wrap her head around the news, until she sees a reflection of the real hero in her drink. It was not him. Meanwhile, somewhere out in the woods, Novice is getting to work. And Chip confirms they have been grinding for days, asking if he is used to the power yet. Novice notes his system is pretty weird. It does not analyze stats like a normal one. Instead, it lets him see everyone's blood type, which is a very specific, not at all creepy feature. And apparently different blood types give different amounts of exp, a gourmet vampire in the making. But the rarest blood types come with a special bonus, giving him resistance to the sun after that bandit leader snack. Leveling up also boosts his HP, letting him walk in daylight for longer periods. Their new grinding spot is a charming little place called Winkla Hollow, which looks less like a hollow and more like a you are gonna die in here pit. He is aiming for just one more level from this next quest, drawing his blade as he heads into the monster-filled darkness. This system confirms he is level 4 with a quest to hit level 5, no pressure or anything. Meanwhile, back at the guild, Park asks the blonde adventurer Clare what she saw that day, and she is clearly traumatized, saying she saw something awful. A creature of the dark surrounded by a swarm of monsters with glowing red eyes and an insatiable thirst. She describes its unwavering hunger for blood, painting a pretty grim picture, which has Park completely baffled. He just asks if she is talking about a bat. Claire just shakes her head, obviously not getting through to him, because he has only heard rumors about a certain bat-like monster being killed, but has no clue she is actually talking about vampires and his old friend. Inside the hollow, Novice dodges a nasty beam attack and immediately starts the grind, realizing he will need a lot of kills. He looks up to find a cave full of monsters and all-you-can-kill buffet. Chip, ever the optimist, points out the convenient monster surplus. Novice just lets them swarm him, completely unfazed by the odds. Drawing his blade with a look of pure concentration, he even pulls off a trick shot, launching his sword into one of them, then dives right into the fray, slicing through the horde. When the sword is not enough, he brings out the blood claws, leaping onto a monster's back for a better angle. This guy just shoves his entire hand through its skull. Yikes. Another one down, another measly 15 exp gained, and Novice notes that monster exp is just pitifully low. He stands over the bodies ready for the next wave, his eyes glowing with a terrifying focus. Our boy just keeps carving his way through the dungeon until the last monster finally drops, but then he remembers the bandit leader killing people gives way more exp, and suddenly he recalls his old friend's sudden power-up, realizing his friend got strong by murdering their own party members. Back on the grind, Novice carves his way through the monster-filled hollow. And the whole flock descends on him, but he is just getting warmed up. Then a sudden sunbeam hits and his stats immediately tank. Our boy groans, remembering this is exactly why he picked a cave for his murder spree. With his strength fading fast, he is a sitting duck out in the open, so it is time to pull out the one ace he has left, his blood claw skill. Both hands ignite as the system confirms the power-up is active, and he immediately lunges for the nearest monster, claws extended. This moment he grabs it, the sunlight debuff just vanishes, which brings a very smug smile to his face as his stats return to normal. He declares the monster is his, ready to drain it completely, and another kill nets him a measly 15x for his trouble. Using both claws, however, drains his HP twice as fast, a risky gamble. Chip helpfully points out he can just drink blood to fix that, like a monster. Novice looks down, knowing he has already broken his old code. Yet the rules of his brotherhood are still important to him. He vows to hold them dear even with his new fangs on full display, just in time for another winged beast to dive-bomb him from above. Accepting his new life, he leaps to meet the challenge head-on, his blade flashing as he goes in for the final kill. He lands a solid hit on the final monster, bringing his fist down with a brutal crunch, and one last slash finally does the trick, netting him a pathetic 15x. But it is just enough to trigger the level-up notification, quest complete. Chip celebrates the ding while Novice checks his new status. When a brand new system message pops up, his race has been unlocked, and the game finally makes it official, he is a vampire. All the pieces click into place, the sun weakness, the bloodlust, he is no longer human, a horrifying realization that he has become just like the monsters he has been fighting. This word hangs in the air, a grim confirmation of his new reality. His eyes reflecting the cross he now has to bear, literally. Then the system offers him a class selection which Chip thinks is the coolest thing ever, presenting him with 3 very edgy-sounding vampire job titles, leaving Novice to stare at the floating cards, completely baffled by the upgrade. Even with Chip on his shoulder, he has never heard of these classes before, so he picks up the Night Warrior card, trying to figure out what it means. His gaze fixed on the glowing blue image as he considers his choice. This system gives him a preview, a beefy vampire specializing in strength and speed, who also gets bonus stat points with every level up, which is a pretty sweet deal. But the whole display just leaves both him and Chip utterly confused. Novice groans, realizing he has to read the fine print on his new vampire career paths, so he taps the Blood Manipulator card while Chip has a tiny heart attack. This preview shows a class that fights by spending its own health, a bold strategy, Cotton, and apparently this self-harm build is great for both close and long-range combat. Next up is the purple card, with Chip still begging him to just stop and listen, which reveals the Scarlet Spellbinder, a mage who tops up mana with blood in a pinch. It is a versatile magic class, perfect for anyone who wants to be a wizard and also very anemic. After seeing all the options, Novice is just completely overwhelmed by the choices, and he figures the Night Warrior class is the most logical pick for him, since he was a paladin who focused on defense and sword skills in his past life. Using a sword is all he knows, making the magic-heavy classes feel like a bad fit. Chip, having none of this logic, just starts shaking him violently to get his attention, then shoves the Blood Manipulator card right in his face, insisting it is the one. Novice immediately shuts that down, a class that drains HP is the last thing he needs. But Chip gets dead serious, promising that as the system, he knows this is the right call. He even pulls the Have I Ever Failed You card, which is a pretty low blow. Our boy just stares into the distance, clearly weighing his options, and remembers their first meeting when Chip was a completely different, much cuter creature. Back then, the little guy screamed at him to use a barrier during a fight, which ended up saving him from getting absolutely flattened by a monster. He flashes back to that near-death experience, with Chip being the only reason he survived. And in the present, Novice finally admits the little guy has never let him down, so he locks in his choice, Blood Manipulator it is. This power immediately surges through him, a violent, overwhelming rush, lighting up his entire arm with crackling red energy. And the transformation looks about as pleasant as a root canal without anesthesia. He is racked with pain as the new class rewrites his body from the inside out, but he pushes through it, finally standing firm as the power settles. When the dust clears, his eyes are a piercing green, the upgrade is complete. A system window confirms his new class and level 5 stats, making it all official, leaving Novice wondering if this much agony is just part of the vampire starter pack. He has also unlocked Blood Slash, a skill that costs HP to use because of course it does. Suddenly his vision is flooded with a ton of new system notifications, one of which reveals a massive boost to his sun resistance, no more HP drain in daylight. His stats will still tank, but at least he will not be actively dissolving anymore. But the info dump is not over as he taps open the next message, which details a whole new set of bonuses for his blood-type tasting hobby. He sees the best perk of all, a way to permanently decrease his bloodlust. But just as he is feeling good about his choice, another pop-up makes his jaw drop. This system hits him with 3 new quests, including a mandatory 24-hour feeding timer or else. This system clarifies the penalty. He is on a 24-hour blood-drinking clock now, and Novice is already picturing the monster he will become if he misses a meal, which has him grinding his teeth while Chip just looks on. Then the little devil asks with a giant, toothy grin if he is feeling hungry, really leaning into his new role as the world's most unhelpful sidekick. As Chip cackles maniacally, Novice realizes he has only himself to blame for trusting him, because the cute, angelic guide he once knew is long gone. With all the nearby bandit camps already cleared out, he is short on options, but at least he can walk in the sun without melting, so that is a plus. He decides it is time to head back into town and get some answers, finally emerging from the forest with a view of civilization ahead. Elsewhere, another long-haired vampire is finishing up a little snack of his own, smirking about how they are done cleaning up loose ends, which apparently means leaving a dead farmer in a field. Back at the guild hall, tensions are running incredibly high, where a packed room listens to a guy demanding new leadership. And this shirtless dude with a hero complex promptly nominates himself for the job. Someone in the crowd pipes up asking what happened to the old leader, Bob, to which the wannabe leader just scoffs that Bob could not even make the meeting. Meanwhile, poor old Bob is lost in the woods, completely oblivious to the coup. This shirtless dude, Taxon, makes his pitch for guild leader based on pure muscle, and the crowd seems torn. Monsters are a problem, and he did asterisk handle those bandits. But a guy in white armor clenches his fist, clearly not buying any of it. Stepping forward to declare that leadership is about more than just being strong, he launches into a big speech about community and protecting the weak, the works. To prove his point, he gestures dramatically toward the quest board, which is packed with high-level quests that have been ignored since Novice left. This new guy, Park, insists the town will not feel safe with a glory hound in charge. Then he calls Taxon out for not taking any of the dangerous jobs himself. Taxon just smirks, saying his crew only takes the high-paying B-rank quests, because his whole philosophy is that strength deserves rewards, not charity work. Some of the guild members actually start to agree, thinking maybe he should lead after all. Park grits his teeth, knowing that would be a complete disaster for the guild. So he throws down the gauntlet. If strength is all that matters, let us fight for the title. His partner tries to stop him, but Park's convinced winning will shut Taxon up for good. Taxon accepts with a smug grin, promising there will be consequences for losing. Word spreads like wildfire through town about the duel in the square, and the locals are less concerned with politics and more excited for the free entertainment. A massive crowd gathers to watch the two potential leaders face off, and Park stands ready with his sword drawn, prepared to settle this with a fight. Taxon and his crew step up, ready to settle this before sunset. With a battle cry, Park dives in for the first strike. He lands with a powerful stance, ready to defend his ideals, but Taxon easily parries the blow, sparks flying everywhere. This clash continues in a blur of steel and righteous fury, while Taxon just smirks, calling his opponent a brainless meathead. Park grits his teeth, clearly not a fan of the commentary. But his next swing is just as easily dodged by the shirtless wonder. Suddenly, Taxon whips out a second sword, declaring playtime is over, and the two stare each other down, a classic duel of brawn vs. slightly less brawn. Then Taxon unleashes a wild flurry of attacks, completely overwhelming Park, who takes a nasty slash right across the chest. In an instant, a blade is at his throat. The fight is over. Taxon gloats that his strength, proven by killing monsters, makes him the rightful leader. Then turns his back on the defeated Park, calling him scum. Real class act. Park can only lie there, completely beaten and humiliated. But with his last bit of strength, he says someone else could have beaten him, which gets Taxon's attention real fast. Who did he just say? Park praises the guild's true strongest member, the one who took every quest. And as he says Taxon will never be like him, our new guild leader's face goes absolutely thunderous. Park on the ground defiantly says Taxon will never be like the guild's true hero. And for his trouble, Taxon just smacks him with a sword hilt, real sportsmanlike. He gloats that Park's protector is not around to save him this time, then starts stomping the poor guy into the cobblestones. This crowd is horrified, but nobody dares to intervene against the new boss. Park's partner cannot watch anymore, ready to jump in and stop this. But her friend holds her back, warning she will just get beaten down too. With tears in her eyes, she knows he is right, but it is tearing her apart. Just as she decides someone has to do something, a cloaked man arrives. Her eyes go wide, she cannot believe who she is seeing walk into the square. This mysterious stranger walks right up to the beatdown, completely unfazed, and with a single word, "Stop," he gets Taxon's full, undivided attention. Taxon turns, furious that someone interrupted his lesson. What a psycho. This stranger pulls back his hood, retorting that Taxon's the one who needs schooling, revealing himself to be none other than Novice, back with a brand new look. This two of them face off, with the whole town watching the drama unfold. In the crowd, people are losing their minds. Novice is actually alive. Even Park, barely conscious, cracks a smile, knowing his hero has returned. This blonde warrior just stares, completely stunned by his sudden reappearance. Taxon just scoffs, mocking the guy who vanished for trying to lecture him now. Novice calls him out for being the kind of trash who attacks his own guild, but Taxon just smirks that it was a fair fight, which is a hilarious lie. He then gets real specific, asking where the rest of Novice's party went. And that question hits a nerve. How does this psycho know about them? With that, Taxon decides talk time is over and draws his sword, immediately launching himself into a massive overhead slash. But Novice dodges, realizing this guy is way more aggressive than he expected. Their blades lock and Novice can already feel he is too slow, getting completely pushed back as sparks fly everywhere. Taxon actually yells at him to fight properly, which is rich coming from him. Meanwhile, Novice knows he cannot use his real power with a huge audience. So he is stuck just parrying a relentless flurry of attacks. His friends in the crowd are totally confused why he is not using any skills, and Taxon takes this as weakness, mocking him for coming back so pathetic. Then he unleashes a massive whirlwind attack, which completely engulfs our boy in a storm of purple energy. Novice takes the hit, losing HP and admitting he cannot win like this. And just like that, he is on the ground with Taxon declaring his victory. This crowd absolutely loses it, shocked that their hero just got beaten. Taxon just strolls off, telling everyone to get out of the new leader's way. Taxon's already on a power trip, gloating about his new guild hall, but Park ignores the new boss, rushing over to a downed Novice, helping our boy up while pointing out he looks like absolute garbage. Park is absolutely livid, asking why he'd fight in this condition, and Novice just calmly admits he knew he could not win from the start. Little Chip swoops in as Novice realizes it was way too early for that fight, explaining he just could not stand by and watch Park get beaten anymore. Chip pops in with a helpful tip. Park's bleeding and he smells delicious asterisk. And yeah, our boy's vampire senses are going absolutely haywire right now. So they head to a tavern where Park explains the whole guild takeover. Then he has to ask, are the rumors about his old party true? His partner adds that she just assumed he was back for revenge. But Novice explains that by fighting a comrade he broke his code, he is out of the order. Park does not care about any of that, he is just thrilled Novice is alive. Our boy cannot believe he told them his system is broken when he actually feels stronger than ever. And right on cue, a sharp ding goes off in his head. Elsewhere, some adventurers complain about the new curfew, all thanks to a mass murderer. Apparently, Taxon's crew already fought this killer and are now too scared to try again. And after hearing all that, Novice gets up, saying he is going to rest. As he leaves, though, his friend watches with a very worried expression. Back at the guild, Novice scopes out the quest board, clearly looking for something specific, and a wanted poster for the Slayer catches his eye as his vampire timer ticks down, only 8 hours left to feed. He decides if he has gotta drink blood, it is gonna be from someone who has it coming, a vigilante diet. Chip, ever the helpful sidekick, asks how exactly he plans on finding this murderer, and Novice just confidently says it'll be way easier than he thinks. Later that night, screams for help echo from the street below. Well, that was convenient. Looking down, they see some poor schmuck in armor stumbling around in the dark. This guy is absolutely losing his mind, screaming about being out after curfew, really laying it on thick. Then he spots Novice on the balcony and starts waving him down like his life depends on it. He spins a whole sob story about a forgotten wallet and being cornered by the town's infamous killer, while a cloaked figure literally appears behind him and the guy does not even react, totally not suspicious. Novice plays along and the armored guy insists this is the only way back to the inn with a creepy smile. He asks Novice to check out the path for him and our boy agrees to walk into the trap. In a flash, the victim drops the act and lunges with a glowing sword. But he is stunned when Novice is already poised to counter, completely unfazed. This killer cannot believe it, wondering what tipped him off when his performance was so perfect. Novice just calmly states the obvious, the guy absolutely stinks of blood. With his cover blown, the murderer gets into a fighting stance, ready to throw down for real, licking his blade while mocking Novice for the beating he took from Taxon earlier. He declares Novice will be the perfect test subject for his new skills, especially since the sun cannot help him now. Novice grins, finally ready to cut loose without an audience, and in the empty street, the two fighters face off. This killer just scoffs, completely unimpressed by our boy's new look, lunging forward while boasting that not even Taxon could stop him, their blades meeting in a furious, sparking clash. Suddenly, the murderer realizes Novice is way faster than before. So the guy leaps back, trying to get some breathing room. But Novice, now dual-wielding, knows he needs to keep them apart, deciding to take the fight to the rooftops instead. He makes a massive jump across the city square, dashing through the night with incredible speed. His opponent just mocks him for trying to run away, then leaps after him, vowing that Novice has seen too much. Apparently seeing his face is a death sentence, real original. With a smirk, Novice decides it is time to test his new vampire skills, unleashing a blood slash, a massive wave of red energy, and the killer is completely stunned by this sudden power-up. He barely gets his sword up in time to block the attack, which sends him flying backwards across the roof. Novice checks his stats, noting these new skills are great if they did not drain his HP. And the killer gets it, a smug grin plastered on his face. He realizes Novice did not lose his skills, leaping in for a downward strike. In response, Novice lets loose another massive blood slash, which the killer dodges, leaving 2 huge gashes in the tiles. Suddenly, the killer's right in his face, mansplaining that blood slash is for mid-range fights. To prove his point, he brings his sword down hard, forcing a block. With his blade locked, Novice decides to try something else. Activating Blood Claw, he goes for a close-range swipe. But the killer just cackles, totally unimpressed by his strange red hand. And he is right to be cocky, dodging the claw with ease. This guy even throws in a kick while dodging just to show off. Novice admits the guy's too fast, he needs to slow him down somehow. From across the roof, the killer taunts him, asking if that is all he has got. Our boy admits he is not used to this power yet, but he has to try. So he unleashes another new skill, blood control. For the first time, the killer actually looks surprised by this. Novice sends the blood ribbons whipping through the air, which instantly wrap around the killer, binding him completely. Just like that, the murderer is strung up and totally helpless, and with a grin, Novice starts reeling him in for a little chat. This blood ribbons tighten around their target, leaving the killer completely gift-wrapped and helpless. Novice admits this skill is a huge drain, but hey, it works. With a flick of his wrist, he yanks the guy through the air like a fish on a line, declaring with a very creepy smile that playtime is over. And just like that, he goes in for the bite. Dinner is served. This system dings with a level-up notification. Congrats on the murder, I guess. He also gets 5 stat points, a massive upgrade from his human days. Chip, ever the helpful one, points out he has unlocked a brand new skill. But it is a blood cannon that costs half his HP, a skill he will use exactly never. Our boy decides to shelve the stat points for now, but Chip reminds him about the most important part of this whole ordeal. This quest is complete, his HP is full, and the 24-hour death clock has been reset. After a quick wipe of the mouth, he gets another notification. His blood aura got stronger. He is safe for another day, but now he has a body disposal problem. Chip, thinking practically, suggests looting the corpse, but Novice shuts that down fast. As he dashes away, our boy knows this vigilante diet is not a long-term solution. Deciding his new plan is to find out what the hell Taxon knows about his condition. So he takes off across the rooftops, moving like a shadow, slipping back into his room like he was never even gone. From her window, Claire wonders why Novice is getting back so late. Her suspicion growing as she questions if he is hiding something. This next morning, she is strolling through town, all geared up for a quest, but she has clearly got something heavy on her mind. Suddenly, Park spots her from under a tree and calls out her name, catching up with groceries while mentioning another mandatory guild meeting. Turns out the meeting is because the murderer struck again and left a body on a rooftop. That last little detail makes Claire stop dead in her tracks. And her shocked face says it all. She knows exactly who was on a roof last night. Meanwhile, Novice is out fighting, but a system alert confirms the son is having all his stats, and he is up against a wolf with a smile only a dentist could love. This beast lunges, immediately putting our boy on the defensive, forcing him to struggle just to keep its jaws from snapping his sword. From a distance, Park's party sees Novice is in trouble and decides to back him up. One of their members charges in, declaring he has got this handled, and with a single bloody slash, he takes the wolf down. He muses that Claire was right, it is way too soon for Novice to be adventuring. Park rushes over to help Novice up, apologizing for dragging him into this, but Novice just brushes it off with a smile, insisting he can keep going, which only seems to frustrate Park more as he slams a table later on. Park gets a dangerously sparkly look, suggesting they take a quest together. Claire, ever the voice of reason, points out Novice is clearly not okay, but Park just grabs him, insisting this is for his own good. Our boy knows the son will nerf him but agrees, needing to test his limits. Park takes that as a yes, immediately announcing they need 5 people for the quest, and his recruitment plan involves just pointing at 2 random dudes. You are hired. This 2 chosen ones turn around, completely baffled by this sudden promotion. A sudden flash of red hits Novice, triggering his whole protector trauma, leaving the rest of the group totally confused by his reaction. Through gritted teeth, he snarls, "Do not call me that name." And just like that, the new 5-person squad is out fighting a wolf pack. Park, meanwhile, is having the time of his life, cleaving wolves in 2, and he even throws in a smug thumbs up for good measure. Novice just manages a weak nod, looking completely drained by the fight. From the sidelines, Claire watches with a very concerned look on her face. As the sun sets, the party walks off, celebrating a successful hunt, but their victory lap is cut short by a desperate scream for help. As a woman comes crashing through the trees, running for her life, one of the new guys catches her, trying to figure out what is going on, and she gasps that a giant bird is wrecking her village, a classic side quest hook. This woman explains her village is fighting a monster and they are losing badly, so one of the new guys asks for a description of the beast. She describes a creature with the body of a beast, wings, and talons, that also happens to breathe a whole lot of fire. This blonde warrior asks the knight if this rings any bells, and he identifies it as a griffin to everyone's collective horror. That is a grade B monster, which explains why the villagers are getting wrecked. Without hesitation, the night guy steps up, declaring they have to help. His logic is simple: if they do not, the whole village is toast. He then orders Novice to run back for help, a classic stay here kid move, but Novice knows the sun is down, which means his vampire powers are back online. Cannot exactly announce that, so he just promises to be quick. This knight gives a smug grin, counting on him to do the one job he cannot screw up. With that, the rest of the party charges off to be heroes. While Novice sprints away, knowing they probably cannot handle a griffin alone, he tears through the forest at full speed, realizing they are on a timer. A moment later, he is already standing in front of the guild hall. He bursts through the doors, screaming Taxon's name at the top of his lungs. This entire guild hall, full of tough-looking adventurers, just stops and stares, and one particularly scarred-up guy demands to know what the hell he wants. Novice frantically explains the situation: a griffin is attacking Yonville. But Taxon, the guild master, slams the table and tells him to stop. His logic is pure business. Yonville has a rival guild, so no profit, no help. Novice, absolutely livid, reminds him their own people are in the line of fire, but Taxon just writes them off as an acceptable loss for the guild. Then comes the smug dare: if you care so much, go save them yourself. And just like that, the Protector PTSD hits him full force. With Chip pointing out the obvious, his friends are probably going to die. Through gritted teeth, Novice admits he knows the stakes all too well. His eyes glowing, he delivers a chilling threat: if they die, Taxon's next. With that, he is out the door, deciding to dump his stat points into agility. A massive surge of red energy erupts as he boosts his speed. While back at the fight, the Griffin is a literal storm of fire and rage. This rest of the party squares up against the monster, looking seriously outmatched. Yeah, the village is getting wrecked and they are realizing this was a bad idea, and the monster unleashes a swirling fireball just to make things worse, which the knight bravely steps up to block with his shield. This impact sends him flying and he screams that he cannot even reach it. Under the intense heat, his shield starts to completely fall apart. And Clare confirms the archers are useless. Their arrows just incinerate before they hit. Novice is absolutely tearing through the woods, racing back to the fight, confirming to Chip that the party is way out of their league. They cannot even hit the thing. Back at the disaster zone, the team is scrambling for a ranged attack, any ranged attack, while the Griffin just hovers there looking like a feathery apocalypse. This whole mess triggers his Protector PTSD and he vows not to fail again. So with a roar, he starts channeling a terrifying amount of dark energy. His face goes full-on nightmare fuel as he gathers a swirling vortex of blood, knowing this is a huge gamble, but it is the only chance they have got. It is time to test out that shiny new skill he swore he would never ever use. He unleashes the blood cannon and poof, there goes half his HP just as advertised. Meanwhile, Park's brilliant plan is to just jump at the monster and hope for the best. Suddenly, a massive crimson death beam screams past his head, slamming directly into the Griffin with explosive force. This rest of the party can only stare, their jaws on the floor from the sudden kill steal. Claire's face pretty much sums it up. What in the fresh hell was that? A massive explosion rocks the battlefield, kicking up a storm of dust and debris. When the dust settles, the Griffin is toast and the villagers are cheering like they did something. This party, however, knows that laser cannon did not come from their side, and the blonde warrior scans the forest, finding no trace of their mysterious savior. Miles away, Novice just walks off, finally understanding why that skill is an emergency-only button. Novice is still seething, realizing how close his friends came to getting wiped, and he absolutely swears he is not letting Taxon off the hook for it. Hey, at least he got a couple levels out of that near-death experience. Meanwhile, at a different guild, a massive assembly is underway, where an old knight in some serious plate armor calls for everyone's attention. Standing behind him is Taxon as the knight prepares a major announcement. And surprise, surprise, they are appointing Taxon as the new sub-guild leader. This crowd is less than thrilled, immediately whispering about this terrible promotion. One guy with glasses straight up says Taxon is not leadership material at all. But Taxon, ignoring the haters, announces his first mission, a goblin camp. He adds that it is a direct order from the king, so attendance is mandatory, and he has got this smug look talking about crushing threats before they grow. Our boy with the glasses is not buying it, knowing he is just a royal yes-man. This plan is simple enough, split into smaller parties to cover more ground. And the old knight confirms Taxon will be assigning everyone to their squads. So he starts barking out orders and the crowd just has to stand there and take it. A few adventurers realize he's breaking up established parties, which is a terrible idea, and then he reads the list, putting Park and Clare together in Squad B before flashing the most punchable grin ever and putting Novice in his own squad. This news lands like a lead balloon, shocking absolutely everyone. This knight grabs Clare, telling her not to make a scene right now. While Novice is absolutely livid, wondering why Taxon specifically picked him. But then he realizes this is the perfect chance to get Taxon alone for questioning. Taxon flashes that smug grin again, saying he is looking forward to working together. From the side, Clare just hopes her gut feeling about this is totally wrong. With a slam of his hammer, the old knight orders everyone to move out at midday. This entire guild hall scrambles to get their gear ready for the mandatory mission. And outside, the first squad heads out to scout the western path. And here is Novice with his new team of randoms looking thrilled about it. Taxon briefs another squad leader, confirming everyone has their assigned location. As Novice glances back one last time at Park and Clare, who are stuck in another group, they tell him to take care, promising they will handle their side and watch Taxon. Novice steels himself, realizing it is time to find out what Taxon knows about all this. So his new squad heads deep into the woods following their orders. Taxon suddenly signals for quiet, whispering that they are close to the goblin hideout. Crouching down, Novice spots fresh footprints as Chip reminds him the sun is still out. And sure enough, there they are, goblins lurking in the undergrowth. One of the other guys immediately spots them, shouting out their position. And in a flash, one of the adventurers charges straight into the trees. This whole squad leaps into the fray, descending on the goblin ambush. This goblins swarm out, looking absolutely thrilled to be cannon fodder, and the whole squad immediately clashes with them in a chaotic melee, with Novice cleanly slicing through one of the little green monsters, while one of his new teammates goes airborne for a flashy attack. One of the goblins makes a break for it, and the squad leader orders a pursuit. But as they run, Novice feels his heart pound. The sunlight is still nerfing him hard. This chase leads them deeper into the woods, right under a lurking goblin shaman, and the leader yells for Novice to flank from the right, a classic pincer move. Novice immediately complies, cutting down another goblin in his path, at which point the leader gives a silent hand signal to another teammate. and a mace suddenly comes flying down from the trees, followed by a masked guy with a scythe who is aiming straight for Novice. Our boy looks up just in time to see the betrayal coming, taking a massive, powerful strike right to the side of the head. He is slammed into a tree, losing consciousness almost instantly. Yep, total setup. In his daze, he sees his teammates surrounding him looking anything but friendly, and the squad leader flashes a demonic red eye with a grin that just screams gotcha. Later, the traders are just chilling by a campfire, their real mission accomplished. Novice wakes up to find himself tied with a special rope made from monster fibers, completely bound to a tree and totally at their mercy. This traitor squad leader looms over Novice, casually mentioning he is awake, then laughs, explaining the magic ceiling rope is draining all his strength, no escape. Novice is absolutely seething, immediately realizing Taxon is behind this whole ambush. And the leader confirms it, adding that the king himself ordered the hit. This news completely shatters him. The king was the one who gave him his powers, and he flashes back to that very moment, kneeling in the throne room. Snapping back to the present, he screams that it has to be a lie. But the traitor just smirks, quoting the king's cold logic, useless tools get discarded. Then he leans in close, ready to drop the real reason for all this. Revealing a horrifying secret: if you kill a system user, you steal their power. His eye glows with ambition as he spells it out. Novice's death will make him unstoppable. So there our boy sits, completely powerless and tied to a giant tree, while the whole squad of traitors just stands around mocking him. This leader flashes a truly punchable grin, promising he will not kill him just yet, which prompts Novice to call Taxon what he is, a coward. This guy just scoffs, asking if it is cowardice or just using your brain, explaining he needs to go back and play hero for the other adventurers, because his master plan is to make it look like Novice deserted the mission, and after a while his friends will just happen to find his body perfect, right? With that, Novice finally puts it all together, accusing him of setting them up in that cave too. This traitor leader just smirks, playing completely dumb about the cave setup. And then he mockingly thanks Novice for taking out the bandits he was working with, which makes our boy realize they were the ones who freed them in the first place. This guy just gives him the slimiest who knows grin imaginable, and the sheer layered betrayal has Novice absolutely shaking with rage. He flashes back to the bandit leader talking about his guild connections, remembering how he could not believe it at the time, and now it all clicks. The bandit was talking about Taxon. This traitor leader complains that those bandits were threatening to expose him, so he sarcastically thanks Novice for being his personal problem solver. With that little story over, he points to two of his men, and the three of them head off to go play hero for the guild. He tells the remaining goons to watch Novice closely, adding that our boy stays alive for now at least. One of the remaining thugs looms over him, saying escape is pointless. And this dude is just a classic sadist, loving the power trip. Novice just seethes, promising that Taxon is going to pay for all this. As the sun finally sets over the forest, a system window pops up. Hey, no more sunlight debuff. Chip immediately pops up, telling him now's the time to break free. He tries to break free, but the magic rope just tightens, digging into his skin. And Chip confirms the obvious: those ropes are a total power killer, no skills allowed. Even his system window is glitched out, making him feel completely abandoned. But then his eyes snap wide open with a whole new kind of dread, because a demonic-looking system window pops up with a fun new quest: drink blood. Oh, this is just fantastic timing. His vampire curse is kicking in now of all times, and he starts to panic, wondering what is gonna happen if he does not feed. He tries to warn his babysitter, basically saying, "You need to let me go, dude." But the guard is completely unimpressed, just telling him to shut up. Too late for that, as Novice starts groaning, his body twisting in agony, his eyes glowing a menacing red as the transformation takes over. He is desperately trying to fight it, not wanting to lose himself again. While a system timer ticks down, he has got less than 3 hours. His vision starts to tunnel, locking onto the only source of food around, and that poor, clueless guard is starting to look like a walking juice box. Through gritted teeth, he gives the guy one last chance: let him go or die. This guard, a true genius, thinks he is just putting on a show. Meanwhile, Novice is in hell, wondering if this is death or something way worse. As the clock ticks down to the final minute and he completely loses it, and then the countdown hits 0, his time officially up. A big red "quest failed" window pops up, looks like someone forgot their daily blood juice. Novice starts begging the guard, pleading that he has no idea what is happening to him, and the guard, having zero patience for this drama, just raises his mace to shut him up. With a crash, the mace slams into the tree as a dark aura starts swirling around our boy. His eyes are bleeding red, fangs are sprouting, the transformation is not being subtle. Now the guard is starting to get a clue, wondering what the hell is going on. Novice's face twists into a full-on vampiric snarl, fangs bared and ready, and his babysitter is officially freaked out, taking a step back from the monster show. This guy is clearly regretting his life choices right about now, a classic henchman mistake. And there it is, the system confirms it, the transformation has begun. Meanwhile, Claire's team is busy mopping up their own goblin problem, and she takes down one of the monsters with a dual dagger strike, finally getting a breather. Standing over the last goblin, she confirms their little skirmish is over. Park catches his breath, doing a quick head count to make sure everyone's okay. Their squad seems fine, one guy even asking if they should loot the bodies. Claire gets them back on track, saying they need to head to the center of the forest to regroup, but Park is worried, asking if Novice is going to be alright with Taxon. She admits that with his current condition, she has got a really bad feeling about this. That is all Park needs to hear, deciding they need to hurry and get there before it is too late. So their whole squad pushes deeper into the woods, racing against the clock. Suddenly, a teammate yells a warning to Park, because another party is getting absolutely swamped by goblins. Their blonde knight immediately decides to jump in and help, and Park also gets to work slicing up a goblin with his blade. Elsewhere, a different squad's mage is running on fumes, totally overwhelmed. One of his teammates gets a nasty surprise from behind, while another goblin comes flying in for the finishing blow. She braces for impact, clearly in a world of hurt, yet manages to cut her way through the immediate threat. Just then, Park arrives on the scene, mocking them for struggling. Of course, Taxon shows up to play hero right on cue, effortlessly carving through the goblins and putting on a real show. This whole situation is just perfect for his master plan. With a smug grin as he saves these desperate adventurers, a final dramatic flourish finishes off the last one, and just like that, the danger is over. This rescued party thanks him profusely, completely buying the act, but then one of them asks the million-dollar question, where's Novice? Taxon immediately turns to Novice's old teammates, feigning ignorance, then drops the lie. Novice panicked and ran. What a convenient story. Clare immediately calls BS, yelling that Novice would never just run away, and Park agrees, panicked that their friend is in serious danger out there alone. But Taxon shuts them down, ordering everyone to make camp because it is too dangerous to search at night. Park is absolutely furious, trying to argue that they cannot just leave him. So Taxon pulls the guild leader card, basically threatening him to stay put. Defeated, Park has no choice but to back down while Taxon smirks. This rest of the adventurers just get to work, setting up tents for the night, while a few others go fishing because nothing says team morale like a fresh-caught dinner. Park takes out his frustration by furiously chopping firewood, and soon enough, the whole group is settled around a campfire. Sitting together, Clare and Park admit they are totally stuck with Taxon in charge, which makes Park realize that without Novice, they have to get stronger themselves. He declares they will do it to protect each other and to save their friend. Later on, one of the adventurers is completely knocked out, snoring his head off, and inside a tent, Clare and the other women are also fast asleep. Outside, a couple of guards are on watch duty, keeping an eye on the camp. When a hand pulls back a tent flap, it is Taxon sneaking out. He whispers to one of his cronies to cover for him if anyone asks, and with his alibi secured, he heads off into the woods alone. He wanders through the forest, thinking about how great it would be to be a system user, totally not suspicious at all. He is thinking this is his chance to find out Novice's secret, until he stumbles upon the scene and his jaw just drops. He finds a bloodbath, wondering if Novice actually escaped, and the severed magic ropes confirm his worst fears. Taxon absolutely loses it, screaming Novice's name into the night, but then a footstep lands right near the carnage. Stepping right into the fresh blood, yep, someone's here. He looks down to see his dead goon, realizing Novice did this. Taxon vows revenge, calling Novice a murderer. Oh, the hypocrisy is rich. A sound from the trees makes him whip his head around, and he spots a figure in the distance looking way different. Surrounded by his own dark aura, he calls out to Novice, and our boy, now in full vampire mode, calls him a hypocrite. Taxon takes a nervous step back, snapping a twig underfoot. His smug confidence completely gone in a flash. With a feral roar, Novice lunges forward to attack, crashing into him with overwhelming force. This impact is brutal, a blur of red and purple energy, as Novice's vampiric form completely overpowers him, and Taxon screams for him to get off as he is torn into. Taxon brings his sword down in a massive slash, but he is totally stunned, asking what the hell Novice even is. Clutching his bleeding chest, he calls our boy inhuman. While Novice just grins like a rabid animal, a true monster reveal. Taxon powers up his own dark aura, declaring this fight was inevitable, then unleashes a massive sweeping strike with his blade, and the two of them charge in for another brutal clash. This time, Taxon cannot believe how fast the kid is, their attacks colliding in a storm of red and purple energy. Novice's clawed hand just grabs the sword, ready to go for the throat. Meanwhile, back at camp, morning brings a surprise goblin raid. A blonde knight in shiny armor cuts down one of the monsters, and catches his breath, admitting that was a little too chaotic for breakfast. With the fight over, the survivors do a head count and wonder what is next, until one of the adventurers asks the important question, where's Taxon? This whole group starts searching the camp for their missing leader, but they only find a dead adventurer with no sign of Taxon anywhere. This blonde knight decides he is going to look for him, speculating that Taxon either bylaid or is mixed up with Novice somehow. Pushing through the brush, he suddenly spots something important. Following the trail, he and Clare stumble upon a path of pure carnage, and Park steps right into the bloody aftermath, wondering what the hell went down here. They find a body, with Clare guessing some monster must have done this. Oh, you have no idea. Suddenly, both of them are on high alert, sensing something is very, very wrong. They turn to find Novice on the ground, looking like he went 10 rounds with a meat grinder. Park immediately rushes to his side, frantically checking to see if he is even alive. Novice just gives a faint, creepy smile while Park diagnoses him with probably some internal injuries. He decides to carry Novice back, but Clare is just frozen, staring at the scene. Park calls out to her, totally confused by her reaction. But she is trembling, the gears in her head finally starting to turn. Because she is staring at Taxon's very dead body, realizing their little problem just solved itself. Sometime later, they have made it back to the cozy and totally unsuspecting Mosswood village. Inside a quiet room, they have got Novice tucked into bed to recover. Our boy finally starts to stir, and Park, holding a bag of groceries, notices he is waking up. This sunlight is too much for him and he asks them to close the curtain vampire problems. Park quickly shuts the drapes, startled by the sudden request. Claire gets right to it, asking Novice if he remembers anything at all. His eyes flash a menacing green as the memories start to flood back in. Yep, he is remembering the whole feral, fanged-out transformation in vivid detail. Back in the present, Park explains they found him and a dead Taxon, blaming it all on some random beast. But Claire's not buying the amnesia act, asking if he remembers what he did. And Novice just clutches his head, groaning in pain, as violent flashes of his vampiric beatdown come rushing back. Park tells her to back off, saying they should let him rest for now. And as they leave, they promise to come back when he is feeling better. This second they are gone, he summons his little bat familiar Chip, pulling up his system screen to see he has jumped 4 whole levels. Nice. Chip immediately calls him out, asking why he lied to his friends. Novice admits he remembers it all but says he was not in control of his body, and he is terrified about what could happen next time he loses it, especially if he ends up hurting the people he cares about. In a total panic, he throws off the covers and leaps out of bed. Deciding he is too much of a danger to be around anyone, he straps on his swords, determined to find a cure for this curse, and his only hope is to track down the other vampires. With his mind made up, he slips out of the village under the cover of night. A while later, Park and Claire return to his room, knocking on the door, but when they get no answer, Park just tries the handle, and they exchange a worried look, sensing something is definitely off. They open the door to find the room completely empty. Novice is gone. They find the room completely empty, not even his gear is left behind. But Claire spots the one thing he did not take, a classic breakup note on the bed. And Park, in his full-on knight armor, reaches out to grab it, which is just a vague apology about being sick and needing to find help alone. Real subtle. Novice. Cut to a week later and our boy is trekking through a barren wasteland, where he has apparently joined a new party that is getting wrecked by a giant bug. So Novice has to come running in to help them out, while his new teammates are already complaining about the useless E-ranker. Their leader tells them to knock it off as Novice reflects on leaving his real friends, and he is now stuck harvesting monster guts, trying to convince himself this is for the best. We flash back to a week ago, right after he snuck out of the village, with Chip giving him the world's smuggest "I told you so" look, reminding him that he went full feral and ate someone, a bad guy sure, but still not great for team morale. Chip then asks the million-dollar question, how exactly does he plan to find other vampires? Novice just pulls up his system screen, revealing he actually has a plan, which involves finally spending all the stat points he has been hoarding. And as he boosts his strength, Chip gets instantly jacked, a side effect nobody asked for. After that little power trip, he dumps all his remaining points into his sense stat, which immediately unlocks a brand new skill, Bloodhound Tracking, letting him see a literal trail from the scent of blood, a vampire-finding cheat code. Chip is still skeptical of the plan, but hey, at least Novice has a snack now. And for 5 days, our boy follows the blood trails with his new vampire GPS, which at first just leads him to some very dead wildlife, and then to a very dead adventurer. Still no vampire leads though. Chip, ever the pragmatist, suggests a quick bite to keep the feral monster at bay. So Novice gets ready to tap a fresh keg, for his health. He also pockets the guy's adventure tag, because you never know when you will need a dead man's. Their search eventually leads them into a bustling town, but asking around gets them absolutely nowhere, a total dead end. With options running low, Novice reveals his actual plan is to find a guild, specifically the Moonshield Guild, to get back in the questing game. He knows it is a risk, but hopes his E-rank status will keep him under the radar, which brings us back to the present with him joining this random party. His new teammate tells him to hurry, privately thinking he is useless baggage. Another party member gets a small cut and his friend points it out, but the sight of fresh blood sends Novice's vampire senses into overdrive. This is bad. After the hunt, the party leader pulls him aside for a little chat, announcing they are taking on a C-rank quest to level up the team. He invites Novice along but gives him an out since he is just an E-ranker. Turns out this is exactly what Novice wanted, a chance to hunt vampires on the job. Novice confidently accepts the quest, telling them not to worry about him, and the leader just laughs, basically telling him to stay in the back like usual. This next day, the whole crew heads out on their grand adventure, meeting up with another party that is just as eager to hit C-rank. Turns out their big, dangerous quest is to go steal 3 eggs from a nest. One of the new teammates immediately calls it out, this is way too easy for C-rank, and Novice gets a very bad feeling, a sense of deja vu he cannot shake. Their leader just grins, telling everyone to stop complaining before they have even started. So they begin their hike up a very ominous-looking mountain path. This team trudging along as the leader says they are almost there. As they get closer, Novice's vampire senses already smell the other people ahead, but he is also picking up another scent, something his bloodhound skill recognizes. Looking up, they finally spot the other party waiting on a ridge, who immediately start trash-talking, blaming Novice for slowing them down. This 2 party leaders, Alfred and Kaiser, finally meet and shake hands, with Kaiser smugly introducing the rest of his own party. And it is a full squad, a witch, an archer, a knight, and a blonde woman. Novice's eyes go wide in absolute shock, unable to believe what he is seeing, because that blonde woman is just as stunned to see him there, and it is Claire calling out his name in the most awkward reunion ever. Claire is practically begging, saying she has been searching everywhere for him, and Novice just coolly asks, "You have been looking for me?" She starts explaining how he just up and vanished, walking right into the middle of both parties. while Novice is having a full-blown panic attack, hoping she does not spill his secret right here. His party leader Alfred steps in, saying it is great they know each other but they have a quest to do. This other leader, Kaiser, gets his team hyped for their easy egg-stealing mission, which of course leads them to a spooky, web-infested cave that looks anything but easy. They cautiously step inside, warned that anything could jump out at them in the dark. Novice's group follows close behind, heading into the spider-themed nightmare. A system alert pops up for Novice. He is no longer weak in the dark, making caves his new favorite vacation spot. His vampire senses are immediately on overdrive, picking up every scent and sound. Clare, meanwhile, is still trying to figure out how to get him alone for a serious talk. One of the other adventurers is already suspicious, asking if this is really just an egg hunt. Suddenly, their archer freezes, sensing something is very wrong. She looks up to see a giant spider dropping down right on top of her. But Novice flashes past, slicing the monster in half before it can even land. He looks absolutely furious, realizing this quest is a total trap. His enhanced hearing picks up skittering from all directions, and he yells out a warning that they are not alone. As a whole swarm of giant spiders descends from the ceiling, Kaiser screams for everyone to stay close. The cave is absolutely crawling with them, and one of Novice's new teammates immediately starts carving up the bugs, while the witch from Clare's party blasts another one to pieces. Clare just watches Novice, realizing he is way faster than before, confirming all her suspicions. After the first wave dies down, Kaiser does a quick head count to see if everyone's okay. And the witch gives Novice a nod, thanking him for the heads up. His new teammate is just relieved, saying this is why it is a C-rank quest, no kidding Sherlock. With the immediate threat gone, the two parties push deeper into the web-infested tunnel, where Clare finally gets a moment alone with Novice, telling him she has been searching for him without Park. Chip, of course, immediately whispers the most helpful thing he can think of: she is totally into you. She cuts right to the chase, bringing up the bandit incident and saying she saw everything he did that day, looking him dead in the eyes as she says she knows what he is. But before she can drop the V-bomb, someone yells for them to hurry up, ruining the moment. She dashes off, promising to finish this talk later, leaving Novice completely stunned. Novice is just spiraling, trying to figure out how in the world she could know his secret. Up ahead, Kaiser points out their prize. They have finally found the eggs. And by eggs, he means a whole clutch guarded by a sleeping spider queen the size of a bus, which has everyone asking how they are supposed to pull this off without waking mommy up. One of the adventurers recalls a story he heard about this exact situation, explaining the queen has tripwires on every single egg, touch one and it is game over. This guy lays it out, fighting the queen head-on is suicide. So he proposes a plan. One team acts as bait, circling around to grab an egg, which will lure the queen away from the main nest, giving the others an opening. While she is distracted, the second team swoops in to grab the rest of the eggs. And then comes the weird part: they are going to smash one of the eggs. Everyone's confused, but he explains there is something she is even more sensitive to: the scent of her own young being destroyed. That smell will override her instincts, making her abandon the chase completely. One of the other adventurers has actually heard of this tactic before, which is promising. Clare even backs it up, reminding them Novice was a high ranker who'd know these things. Kaiser gets all serious, saying both roles are critical and they have to trust each other. He then offers the super dangerous bait job to Alfred's party for a bigger reward. How generous. With a handshake, Alfred's team is officially on distraction duty. But Novice immediately volunteers for the bait team, saying he needs to talk to someone, and he is staring right at Clare, needing to know what she was about to say earlier. This plan kicks off with one of the guys carefully reaching for an egg, managing to grab it without triggering any of the web alarms. And he pulls it free from the strand, a perfect snatch. Except the queen's eyes snap open, she was awake the whole damn time. And a humanoid spider thing drops down, revealing the real boss of this dungeon. Novice immediately knows they are screwed. This thing is way out of their league. But Kaiser screams for them to stick to the plan anyway, tossing the egg to the other team as bait, and the guy just smashes it on the ground like they discussed, which only seems to piss the boss off even more. Meanwhile, Kaiser's team has the other eggs, acting like this was all part of the master plan. And Alfred's team finally realizes they have been totally played. Kaiser's crew just bolts, leaving them to die. One of the adventurers just loses it, screaming after the traitors, realizing they have no choice but to fight this thing alone. His teammates are less than thrilled, wondering how they are supposed to survive this. I mean, look at this thing, it is a literal raid boss. This spider-humanoid hybrid drops down to engage them, and yeah, survival is looking pretty unlikely right now. Alfred's party steels themselves for the incoming attack, as the monster's giant scythe arm comes whistling down, forcing everyone to scatter just to avoid getting flattened. This impact absolutely demolishes the cave floor, but the shield bearer gets clipped, his arm and shield getting skewered. Everyone just stares in horror, the first casualty already down. Alfred screams for them to dodge. Blocking is not an option, as its leg slams down, shattering the cave floor instantly. This archer barely dodges, completely stunned by the sheer power, but before she can recover, the boss shoots a web from above. It is a direct hit, wrapping her up in seconds flat, and the web yanks her off her feet, pulling her into the air. She's getting dragged into the ceiling, begging not to be left behind, which has her teammate absolutely furious, yelling they have to fight back. This blonde warrior steps up, vowing to end this in one blow. She leaps into the air, channeling all her power into a single strike, and the boss just catches it completely unimpressed. Everyone's jaw just hits the floor. It caught her ultimate attack. Yeah, its reflexes are on a whole other level, and with the warrior disarmed, the boss fires off a volley of web shots. This guy in armor cannot even get near it, forced to defend. While the blonde warrior gets tagged by one of the webs, Novice is calculating, thinking he might have a shot if he goes all out. But it is too late. The web has the warrior's leg completely trapped. She is furious, realizing she cannot move an inch, and the boss is looming right over her, ready for the kill shot. This scythe comes down and the warrior knows she is toast until Novice's hand just smashes into it, stopping the blow cold. She is just completely stunned, unable to process what just happened, while Novice decides screw it, no more hiding his powers. Her whole party is freaking out. He stopped that thing with one hand. Claire screams for him to watch out as the boss fires a web right at him. But our boy is already winding up a blood slash, trading a little HP for a lot of pain. He unleashes a massive slice of pure red energy, sending a spinning blade of death right at the monster's face, and it connects, a direct hit right across the eyes. This boss lets out a piercing shriek, actually feeling that one, leaving Novice to land like the total badass he has been hiding this whole time. One of the other adventurers is just in awe, telling Claire her friend is insanely strong, and she is like, yeah, but not this strong. She has never seen these skills before. Novice blocks another heavy blow, confirming his suspicions about its power. Realizing his basic attacks are not gonna cut it, he dodges a huge ground-shattering attack, taking a bit of chip damage, knowing they have barely scratched its health bar and his big move is a huge risk. So he activates blood control, slicing his own arm to power up his sword, no holding back now. This blood wraps around his blade because his old skills just are not gonna be enough for this. Novice fully commits, knowing his old fighting style is completely useless here, and the boss immediately brings its scythe down to shut him up. But our boy just slides right under the massive swing, using his new blood whip to slice clean through its arm. This monster lets out another agonizing shriek of pain, which unfortunately sprays corrosive blood all over his teammates. He lands perfectly, declaring the kid gloves are officially off. This, of course, just makes the boss even more furious, and it unleashes a roar that could probably curdle milk from a mile away. Alfred's getting all starry-eyed, thinking they actually have a shot at winning this, while Claire, the only one with a brain, tells him to cool his jets. Right on cue, the boss drops its scythe for another kill shot, and Novice meets it head-on with his blood-soaked sword, managing to block the blow but knows it was not nearly strong enough. This boss is still coming, so he whips his blood blade around for another go, leaving his new teammates completely baffled, wondering what kind of adventurer he is. But Claire knows this pace is unsustainable. He is burning himself out fast. And Novice confirms it, realizing the monster's speed prevents any big wind-ups. Chip points out the other problem: his HP is draining with every single move. And Claire says it out loud: he is landing hits, but it is just not enough. This red-haired warrior decides to help, charging in with way more confidence than skill. But Claire immediately screams for him to stop. This is a terrible idea, while the boss is still bearing down on Novice, whose health is tanking fast. Our brave, misguided knight leaps in for a heroic strike from above. This boss just opens its mouth wide like it is about to eat a particularly stupid sandwich, and chomps down, shattering his sword into a million pieces. Before the guy can even process that, the scythe arm just skewers him clean through. His blonde teammate just screams in horror, watching him get deleted from the party. Novice is absolutely furious, realizing it is happening all over again. Another person dying because he was not strong enough to protect them. With its new chew toy secured, the boss just looms over him, and then smashes his body into the ground like a bug. All that is left is a crater and a very clear message: do not be a hero. But Chip is not having it, activating a new skill for Novice, Blood Claws. This new power combines with his blood control, wrapping his hands in pure crimson energy, and he rockets straight up, ready to deliver some serious payback. He slams his supercharged claws right into the monster's torso, ripping through its flesh in a massive explosion of green goo. Landing hard, Novice sees his HP is critical but thinks his finisher, Blood Cannon, can end this. Until a system message pops up: insufficient HP, the ultimate party foul. This boss immediately locks onto Claire, who is next on the chopping block, and she can only brace herself, looking absolutely terrified, which has Novice screaming her name in a full-blown panic. As the monster fires a massive organic spear right from its mouth, a projectile moving way too fast for her to possibly dodge, and it slams into her, sending her flying across the cave. Even after a hit like that, her eyes are still full of fight, but the boss is already bringing its scythe down for the kill shot. This thing comes down with enough force to shatter the entire floor, only to hit nothing but rock because she is just gone. Even the monster seems confused, like, wait, where'd the snack go? Turns out Novice just swooped in at the last second, holding her bridal style, leaving Claire completely speechless, trying to process the rescue, and he tells her to just be quiet, she is seriously hurt. Novice looks at the wounded boss, promising he will save her, but she can see it plain as day: he is running on fumes, which he completely ignores, insisting he will not fail this time. Claire grabs his arm with what little strength she has left, and our boy actually stops, surprised by her sudden move. As she looks him dead in the eye and offers up a new plan: use me. Novice is completely thrown. Use you how exactly? And she clarifies, offering up her own blood with a grim smile, leaving him just stunned, trying to process the offer, wondering how in the world she knew his powers run on HP. This system screen confirms it. His blood cannon is locked with his health in the gutter, and he has got the ultimate move but not enough life to pull the trigger. Meanwhile, the boss is not waiting for them to finish their heart-to-heart, and Novice screams a warning as it dives right for them. This thing comes down like a freight train, aiming to flatten them both. So our boy just turns, using his own body as a shield for Clare. He takes the full force of the slash, getting absolutely shredded to protect her, and they crash to the ground in a heap of dust and pain. Chip is losing his mind, pointing out that hit should have been a one-shot kill, but Novice's heart is still pounding, somehow still in the fight. Claire wastes no time, screaming again for him to use her blood, practically begging him to just do it already, no hesitation. With a desperate nod, she gives him the final go-ahead. And he realizes it is this or nothing. The dead bodies are too far, so he goes full-on vampire, sinking his teeth right into her neck. Gritting his teeth as he takes the only lifeline he has got, this boss recovers, absolutely furious and ready to charge, launching itself high into the air for a death from above pounce, and it comes down with enough force to make a brand new crater, only to realize its targets are completely gone. This monster looks up, spotting Novice standing there totally untouched, and a system window confirms it. Blood absorption successful, HP restored. Better yet, his ultimate move, blood cannon, is finally available, so our boy decides it is time to bet everything on one last shot. He starts gathering a frankly terrifying amount of energy in his hand, condensing all that borrowed life force into a swirling red vortex, basically turning himself into a human cannon, locked and loaded. But instead of firing, he just rockets forward for a point-blank delivery, getting right in the monster's face before it can even react. This blood energy spearheads right for its scythe arm, then punches clean through its chest like it is made of paper, and Novice just keeps pushing, driving the attack all the way through, screaming for it to just die already, as he unleashes the full, unrestrained power of the blood cannon. It is a direct hit, completely vaporizing the monster's upper body, sending a massive pillar of energy straight through the cave ceiling. This monster's body just gets absolutely wrecked by the blast, giving one final, pathetic twitch before it finally goes down for good. And the system makes it official: Spider Queen defeated, XP in the bank. Novice gets a triple level up, barely processing that they actually won, hitting level 15 with a fresh batch of stat points to spend. But the victory lap is cut short when he turns and sees Claire on the ground, rushing to her side, realizing she has lost way too much blood. This guilt hits him like a freight train. She is dying because of him. Then the system pops up with a totally not messed up emergency option: turn her into a vampire. Chip confirms it, saying if he turns her, she just might survive this. And Novice steels himself, ready to make an impossible choice, until Claire grabs his arm, telling him with her last breath not to do it. He is completely floored. Why would she refuse to be saved? She touches his face, revealing she knows exactly what he is. A single tear rolls down his cheek as the weight of it all just crushes him, because she'd seen the signs all along but refused to believe them. She remembers the kind person he was, unable to square it with the truth, and with a weak smile she tells him he is not a monster, Novice, but she hits him with the follow-up: he is not human either. With a trembling hand, she begs him not to turn her, not like this. With her last breath, Claire tells him to find the truth in a diary, located in the top drawer of the desk in her room. Novice just begs her not to go, completely breaking down, but the system hits him with a brutal time-expired message, followed by the official confirmation that Claire is deceased. He is left all alone in the massive, silent cave, holding her body. All he can think is how he was supposed to be the one to protect her. Even Chip looks on sadly as Novice just hugs her, lost in his grief. This camera pulls back, showing the dead monster and the two survivors. Gently setting her down, he promises to get that diary and understand what he is. Some time later, 3 fresh graves mark a clearing in the woods, and our boy stands before them, having buried his entire party. Claire's grave is marked with her name and her broken sword. His expression is grim, steeled for whatever comes next. Touching the cold stone, he whispers how he swore this would not happen again, and the weight of failing his friends just crushes him once more. Chip tries to offer some comfort, saying he did everything he could, but Novice knows that is the problem. It still was not enough. So Chip asks the million-dollar question: what now? Turning away from the graves, Novice focuses on their only clue, the diary. Novice sets off with a new goal: to find out what he has become. And his quest leads him back to the now silent town at night. His very shadow looks monstrous, cast long and sharp on the floor, which spooks the hell out of the local innkeeper on duty, who is already convinced he is going to die on this stupid, spooky shift. Ignoring the terrified staff, Novice heads straight for Claire's room, and he slips inside with a quiet, determined look on his face. This room is completely empty, prompting Chip to bring up ghost stories. But Novice just roasts him. Who is the real ghost here? He finds the desk just like she said, opening the top drawer, and there it is, the diary, holding all the answers he is dreading. With the book secured, our boy slips back out into the empty streets, while elsewhere their paladin friend is panicking, unable to find anyone. Suddenly, the knight spots a familiar figure in the distance, his eyes widening in disbelief, thinking it has to be Novice. He immediately bolts after the figure, moving like a blur, landing in the alleyway with a ready stance, only to find himself completely out of breath and totally alone. This person he was chasing has just vanished into thin air, leaving the poor knight wondering if he is losing his mind. This paladin is having a full-on meltdown, wondering where everyone went. Meanwhile, Novice finds a quiet spot in the woods to finally open the diary, his bandaged hands carefully cracking open the cover. And we are pulled straight into a flashback from Claire's past. She remembers a happier time living by the shore in a town called Elysia. But it was a city of criminals and she was one of them. Just another hungry kid trying to survive on the grimy streets, clutching her latest score and hoping it is her ticket out of this life. Her moment of triumph is cut short by the sound of footsteps. These two thugs she just ripped off are hunting her down for payback. Cornered and desperate, she pulls a knife, ready for a fight. These absolute creeps close in, promising to take back what is theirs and then some. She lunges forward, putting everything into one desperate stab, only to get swatted aside like she is nothing. Her attacker looms over her, ready to teach her a lesson, when something smashes through the wall right behind him. This thug's big, tough guy monologue gets very rudely interrupted. And there he is, a younger novice with glowing red eyes. He moves in a blur of dark energy, way too fast to track, and grabs the goon by the throat before he can even blink. This other goon swings his blade, demanding to know who just showed up. And his answer is a fist to the face, ending the conversation permanently. This mysterious woman just looks at the last guy and tells him to run, so he scrambles away as Claire's diary explains how this person saved her. A young, terrified Claire just stares up at her rescuer, completely awestruck. Her savior looks down, her crimson eyes absolutely glowing in the dark. It was those eyes and that pale, clawed hand reaching for her, but the woman just pats her head and Claire breaks down crying. For days, she followed this silent ghost across the rooftops, asking questions. Claire writes that she desperately wanted that kind of power for herself. She became obsessed, watching her new idol from her window every night. Then one evening, the woman lands right there, asking if she is serious. She offers her hand, an invitation to see what their life is really like. Right before Claire discovered the horrifying truth about them. After seeing them feed, she ran, never wanting to become a monster. Back in the present, Novice is just floored by this revelation. This diary entry just stops, leaving a cryptic, unfinished sentence. Chip pipes up, wondering what the big deal is. He thinks being a vampire is awesome. Novice knows it had to be something far worse than just needing blood. And so the next stop on his quest is the port city of Elysia. Novice arrives in Elysia, the port town from Claire's diary and his one and only lead. And Chip immediately starts panicking about how they are supposed to find anyone here. As our boy walks into the absolutely massive, bustling city by the sea, he figures a tavern is the best place to start digging for information. His bandaged hand clenching with grim determination, and with a heavy step, he decides to start his search right there. Inside, the place is packed, buzzing with the usual tavern chatter, but asking around gets him absolutely nothing but blank stares and shrugs. He sits down, frustrated that he has hit a dead end already. While nearby, a group of adventurers are loudly celebrating something, until he overhears them toasting a guy named Alfred, and his whole demeanor changes. Novice whips his head around, his eyes instantly locking onto them. As the adventurers brag about a big score they made, all thanks to their leader, then it hits him, he knows these guys, they are the party that abandoned them. A flash of red-hot anger brings back the memory of them running away, leaving him and his friends to die in that spider cave, and the image of Claire's lifeless body fuels his rage. At that exact moment, one of the traitors spots him, his jaw on the floor. This whole table turns, pointing in disbelief that Novice is actually alive. Their leader's hand tightens on his mug, the party officially over. Alfred, the traitor leader, strolls over to put a hand on his head, calling him the lucky survivor with the smuggest grin imaginable. He then asks what happened to the others like he actually cares, and Novice just gives him this terrifying grin, saying they are all dead. This absolute clown pats his shoulder, saying no hard feelings, right? Leaning in close, he whispers a little threat about keeping his mouth shut. Then they just walk off laughing, telling him to be more careful next time. Chip immediately pops up, pointing out they totally deserve to be bitten. And speak of the devil, the system dings with a new timer, 8 hours to feed. Novice looks at the notification, realizing he has just found the perfect solution. Later that night, under the cover of darkness in the port city, our boy is on the rooftops, stalking the very same adventurers. His targets are drunk and stumbling through the streets, priorities in order. He drops down into a dark alley, cutting off their path, and they stop dead in their tracks, completely spooked. Novice just lowers his hood, revealing his face and glowing eyes. This traitors cannot believe it, asking if he is really there for revenge. But one of them, full of liquid courage, scoffs that he is just an E-rank. He even calls him their old pack mule while getting his shield ready. And in a blur of red energy, Novice is already on top of him. Novice smacks the shield right into the guy's face, sending the traitor flying with a completely mangled arm. This rest of the party is stunned as he asks how they think he survived, coldly explaining he used his friend's blood to kill the spider himself. Alfred cannot even process it, muttering that it is impossible. With a terrifying grin, Novice says the old him would have just reported them. But tonight he is a whole new person with a brand new use for them. A flash of red light reflects in Alfred's eye as Novice lunges, grabbing the traitor leader by the throat with a glowing claw. This absolute coward immediately starts begging, offering up the reward money. Too bad for him, Novice is only interested in one kind of payment, blood. Under a blood-red moon, the alley fills with Alfred's screams, and just like that, the entire party is left dead on the ground. System notifications confirm he has consumed O and B type blood, though our boy notes he still has not found that OB type yet. Checking the system, he sees new buffs, more strength and sun resistance, nice. Chip pops up, basically asking if they are just gonna leave the bodies lying around this time. Getting an idea, Novice tells him to grab the potion bottles instead. As he starts bottling the blood, Chip immediately points out it'll spoil soon. But Novice reveals he is not storing it for a snack, he has a completely different plan. His plan begins painting the town red one rooftop at a time, blood splattering across the buildings in a very unsubtle display. He even leaves some bloody handprints, really setting the mood. With a final crash, the last of the potion bottles shatters, leaving Novice with just one heart-shaped vial left to go, which he promptly dumps all over his own head because why not? Chip is absolutely beside himself, mourning all that wasted blood. But Novice explains the genius plan. This citywide bloodbath is bait. Suddenly, an angry voice cuts through the night asking what he is doing. A mysterious woman appears, silhouetted against a very dramatic moon, and she looks absolutely furious, asking if he is actively trying to get caught. She stands on a rooftop above him, clearly not here for a friendly chat. While Chip celebrates their success as Novice smirks, his trap officially sprung. Our boy's inner monologue kicks in. He has finally found one of the monsters, one of the creatures that took everything away from him, this one's who turned him into what he calls an abomination. Back in the present, Novice stares her down, confirming she is a vampire, though he does not recognize her from the original attack party. But her uniform is a dead giveaway, it is the same as the lead vampires. And she demands an answer, calling his entire plan completely foolish. Suddenly, the blood-red moon above seems to crack apart, and in the blink of an eye, the woman is standing right behind him. Novice turns, completely stunned that he did not even see her move. A quick power level check confirms he is probably not winning this one, so he just asks her straight up if she is the vampire from Clare's diary, recalling the passage about a female vampire in this exact port town. She just smirks, noting the diary also said she never attacked Clare, while Chip looks on, wondering if this is really her. Deciding to test that theory, Novice draws his sword anyway, and lunges forward with a powerful, glowing slash. This woman barely even turns to face the attack, looking bored, then casually blocks his sword with just her bare hand, leaving Novice shocked that her skin is as hard as steel. He immediately regrets thinking a vampire with a supposed soft spot would be an easy fight. After he leaps back, she gives him a pity compliment on his reflexes, before deciding it is time to see what he is really made of. Our boy braces for impact as she prepares to strike. Her attack connects with his sword in a massive explosion of force, sending him flying across the rooftop like a ragdoll, and a system notification confirms he just lost 30 HP from that one hit. His hand is literally trembling on his sword. Yeah, he is in trouble. Our boy realizes she is not just fast, she is overwhelmingly strong too. She comes at him in a blur of red, not giving him a second to breathe, and Novice barely manages to dodge out of the way. His own blood-powered slash misses her by a country mile as he tries another wild swing that she effortlessly evades. Then she just grabs his arm mid-attack, stopping him cold. This vampire smirks, a little impressed he can even use skills. Novice is internally freaking out, knowing one wrong move means losing his head. Stuck in a standoff, he notices something about her up close, so he snaps his fingers, pulling a fast one, and detonates a blast of energy right in her face. This explosion actually sends her flying across the rooftop, but the move costs him another 50 HP, which is not great. Chip immediately starts screaming that they need to run, while Novice desperately looks for an opening. He activates a new skill, Blood Swipe, hoping this one works, unleashing a massive wave of red energy right at her, and she just watches it come, looking completely bored. She even asks if he seriously only knows the basics, which is just brutal. Landing gracefully, she figures he must be a newly turned vampire. This vampire lady starts conjuring some seriously dark magic, forming a complex purple seal right in the palm of her hand. Novice just stares, completely shocked by this display of power, as she explains that according to the vampire's code, what he did is super illegal, a fact punctuated by a giant red scythe. She then calmly states that because of his little stunt, she has to kill him. Our boy is just stunned, wondering what kind of legendary weapon that is, because he has definitely never seen anything like it before. Chip, of course, is just jealous, asking when they get a cool weapon like that, and Novice has to remind him they might not live long enough to worry about it. With that, she leaps off the rooftop, coming straight for him, forcing Novice to tighten his grip on his own sword. He braces himself for the incoming attack, ready to fight back, and unleashes another one of his blood-powered slashes, which she effortlessly parries with a graceful spin of her scythe. Her counterswing kicks up a massive whirlwind of red energy, and she just smirks, calling his attack completely pointless. In a blur of motion, she vanishes from his sight, leaving Novice on high alert, knowing she is about to strike. A massive explosion rocks the ground as she lands with incredible force. She whips around, scythe ready for the kill, but the dust settles and Novice is just gone. Surprise, he is right behind her, coming in for a slash. Unimpressed, she tells him he should have run when he had the chance. In an instant, she has got him by the throat, and it is not a gentle grip. Holding him up like a sack of potatoes, she calls him a total mess. She even offers him last words, which is just so considerate of her. But Novice just grins, revealing the blood he is covered in is not his. A system notification confirms he just healed up. Wait, what? He is channeling a massive ball of blood energy right in his hand, then shoves it straight into her gut for a point-blank blast. Her eyes go wide, completely caught off guard by the counter. A massive pillar of red energy erupts, engulfing them both. This blast is so huge it sends shockwaves through the nearby streets. When the smoke clears, Novice is left standing in a massive crater. That blood cannon skill cost him a ton of HP, leaving him on fumes. Chip pops up, pointing out how lucky it was he saved that last vial. Novice explains he kept it because stored blood spoils pretty fast. He figures it is a good emergency stash for a tough fight, and a quick flashback shows him chugging it right before this whole mess started. Chip complains they went through all that and got zero answers, but Novice just smirks, saying it is a shame he had to kill her, except she is standing right there in the smoke, completely fine. Yeah, that killing her plan did not exactly pan out, did it? Before he can even react, she grabs him by the hair and just absolutely yeets him across the entire town. Our boy goes flying, crashing through the city like a ragdoll, leaving a nice little trail of chaos in his wake. She is already waiting for him when he finally lands in the woods, and the crash costs him another 10 HP, leaving him on fumes. She gives him the classic "you fought well, but this is the end" speech, telling him there will be no more tricks as her blade nears his neck. Novice is just crushed, realizing his ultimate attack did not even leave a scratch, and he can only wonder how many other vampires are this powerful. He finally breaks, screaming that he never wanted to be turned. But she is not having it. The code says illegal creations must die. Desperate, he asks if there is any way to change back, and her internal monologue reveals she is actually impressed he fought so well. She is even curious who turned him, given his powerful blood cannon skill. But that does not stop her from putting her scythe right to his throat. She hits him with the hard truth: there is no cure for what he is. Novice is just shattered, agonizing over a life spent hunting for blood, but she offers him one alternative as her scythe vanishes. He has to completely forget his old life and everything he has learned, and instead learn how to live like a proper vampire. Apparently, she knows just the place that can teach him how. Which she reveals is the Vampire Academy, because of course it is. Our boy is completely thrown, wondering if this means she is letting him live. He pulls out Claire's diary, trying to make sense of it all, still confused about the truth she wanted him to find. A quick flashback confirms this is the same vampire who was kind to Clare, followed by a shot of her grave, reminding him of his purpose. He realizes her sacrifice could not have been for nothing. Clenching his fist with a new surge of determination. If Clare never gave up on him, then he cannot give up either. Standing tall, he demands she take him to this academy, and just like that, they are on a ship heading out to sea, with Novice looking out at the horizon, accepting his new path. Chip naturally is freaking out about a whole school full of vampires. Novice turns back, saying there is something else he finds unbelievable. He is still trying to process why she is taking him to this academy, his mind replaying just how overwhelmingly powerful she is. A literal whirlwind of destruction he stood no chance against. This sheer force of her attacks was on another level, and he is forced to admit she is the strongest person he has ever met. His own stats are a joke by comparison, especially with that sunlight debuff. Even the last crazy strong vampire he fought seems weak next to her. And the kid starts sweating, realizing he is a minnow in an ocean of sharks. She pops up behind him, confirming his worst fears. Yep, there are plenty stronger. Novice is completely spooked since he did not even sense her approach. Then the sun hits him full on and he just collapses to the deck. Chip, helpful as ever, starts screaming that they are about to become juice boxes. She just looks down on him, asking if he is really this pathetic. He realizes her parasol is blocking the sun's debuff, a pretty neat trick. She tells him he'd better toughen up if he wants to survive the academy, then just grabs and lifts him with one hand, easy as anything. Confused, Novice asks what she means by someone like him, and she starts breaking down the vampire social ladder for him. Turns out there are born vampires, and then there are turned ones like him, the ones everyone hates. This born vampires, meanwhile, are just living it up in a world of power and luxury. Must be nice. She lays out the vampire caste system. Turned vamps are usually just servants, forced to pledge their lives to one of the big noble families, or in some super rare cases, they were picked out specifically for their raw talent. This whole practice created a huge rift since the born vamps saw it as a cheap shortcut to power. But in reality, most are just turned into disposable pawns for ambitious nobles. So yeah, the two factions absolutely hate each other's guts. This tricky part, she explains, is that you cannot tell them apart by sight, which means if anyone at the academy finds out Novice is turned, his life is over. Our boy is panicking, realizing he cannot even act like a proper vampire, let alone a noble one. This stakes finally sink in. If he is exposed, he is a dead man. She then points out at the sea, telling him to look at the massive fleet of ships all heading to the same destination. Apparently, going to the academy is mandatory for all new vamps, born or turned. Skip it and you are illegal, which she casually adds is why she was about to execute him back there. She just figured he was some abandoned stray ditched by his creator. This academy is not just a school, it is the very heart of vampire society. With her lecture done, she snaps her parasol shut. Novice clenches his fist, a new determination on his face. He is remembering all the scum he has fought, all the reasons he needs to get stronger. He is still trying to wrap his head around why vampires even live in secret, wondering if this academy can actually help him control his bloodlust. But that thought gets cut short by Chip screaming they are about to crash. This whole bat crew is clinging to Novice, convinced this is the end. Our boy looks up, totally confused by the sudden 5-alarm fire drill. Turns out their ship is sailing full speed into a massive cliff face, so yeah, fair. Then they just phase right through it like a ghost, leaving Novice wondering if that was some kind of illusion spell. His new mentor just smiles, telling him that is for him to find out. On the other side is a massive, hidden city under a perpetual night sky. A place she explains is a sanctuary where the sun never reaches. It is a whole society completely hidden from the outside world. She turns to him standing before the sprawling city and declares that this place is now his home. Novice just stares up at the towering architecture, completely overwhelmed. This academy itself looks more like a Gothic fortress than a school. From a high window, a shadowy figure notes it is time to welcome the new students. This fleet of ships finally arrives at the docks under the moonlight, and she leads Novice off the boat into the vampire metropolis. He looks ahead, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated determination. Novice is just gawking at the hidden city, his mind completely blown, but his mentor tells him to play it cool before he gives away that he is a total newbie. Even Chip is yelling at him to get his act together and be a proper vampire for once. These streets are absolutely packed with other vamps, all sizing each other up. And our boy is just trying to process that every single person here is a monster. Then he spots it, someone wearing the exact same clothes as the guy who turned him. Instant panic mode kicks in as he wonders if his creator is at the academy too. His mentor suddenly stops, announcing they have arrived at their destination. Before them stands the academy, and she says this is where they part ways, which has Novice freaking out, asking if she is really just gonna ditch him. She clarifies she is entering with the others, just not babysitting him through the front door. He has gotta go with the other new students for some kind of assessment first. Apparently, new students are either born vamps turning 18 or turned vamps, and the ungraduated ones are illegal. She casually mentions that is why she assumed he was just some abandoned trash when she found him. This weight of that little, by the way, hits him like a ton of bricks. But she tells him his baby face is a good cover since noble families hide their kids anyway. With a hand on his shoulder, she wishes him good luck with the test, stopping him one last time to remind him he is on his own now. Novice lifts his head, a look of pure steely resolve on his face. As he walks off, he notices she is wearing the same uniform as the others, is that the school's getup. Novice walks into the lion's den, getting stares from every direction. This whole crowd marches toward the academy under its ridiculously extra emblem, realizing the only way he will see his mentor again is by surviving this place. And his eyes are just blazing with pure, unadulterated try-me energy. Down below, the new students file into the main courtyard for processing, while our boy tries to blend in, already drawing way too much attention. He gets that classic Shounen feeling, yep, someone powerful is watching him. His fist clenches, ready for a fight before he is even enrolled. Standing under the academy symbol, he just steels himself for what is next. Meanwhile, up on a balcony, someone's bored and hoping for interesting new blood. Specifically, they want someone worthy of their oh-so-special bloodline. The elitism is palpable. This shadowy observer grins, ready to see which of the newbies will rise to the top. Novice looks up, definitely feeling that creepy, judgmental gaze on him. But it just fuels his resolve. He's going to survive, period. Chip, ever the strategist, wonders if the test is a blood-chugging contest. This other students are a mix of edgy teens and arrogant nobles, all ready for the games to begin, and Chip is just buzzing, realizing they are at a real vampire academy. From inside, a voice notes that it is that special time of year again, when a fresh batch of students arrives for a new term. This time is apparently super important for all of vampire society. No pressure, kids. Inside, some high-ranking vamps are bored, wondering why everyone's late for the meeting. And the excuse is that everyone's just busy, very important business, you see. One of them hopes for some skilled spellbinders among the new students, but another just scoffs that the 10 noble families are obviously superior. This guy agrees it'd be a real letdown if the commoners were actually good. A third one mentions the academy is under a lot more pressure this year, since a bunch of their people are dying on missions for the king's special talent. These missions look like full-on magical warfare, by the way. Just then, a door swings open with some serious dramatic flair, and in walks the big boss, looking like a classic vampire lord. Everyone at the table immediately stands up, all business now. He takes his seat at the head, ordering them to watch all the students closely, revealing he wants talent, whether they are noble, born, or even turned. Meanwhile, Novice's mentor is walking through the academy grounds, when her friend runs up, calling her Soren, so that is her name. This friend points out Soren's been acting weird since she got back, asking if she maybe met someone special while she was out. Her mind immediately jumps to the most logical conclusion, a boyfriend. Soren is just so not amused by that suggestion. She is actually wondering if Novice is just another vampire, a small smile on her face. Her friend immediately jumps to taboo human romance, imagining some dramatic, sparkly love confession, complete with the guy offering up his neck as a juice box. In reality, she just bumps into a very unamused Soren, who puts a hand up, immediately shutting down the nonsense. Soren tries to leave, saying she will be late for class, but her friend Sophie whines about missing a cool gift for second years. Then Soren drops the real reason she has been summoned. That gets Sophie to finally take the hint, looking concerned. She even offers some sympathy for how stressful that must be, promising to cover for her with the teacher and grab her gift. With that, Soren heads off toward a glowing gate in the distance. Sophie shouts from behind, vowing to keep her secret safe. Her totally not real human boyfriend's secret, of course. Soren is already booking it, moving at inhuman speed. Thinking a summon right before the term starts is a really bad sign. Even this little squirrelback creature is scurrying in terror, agreeing this is bad news. She leaps over the academy walls in a single bound, sprinting down a dark forest path to a place she calls home. Her destination is a seriously imposing mansion guarded by two stoic vamps. The guards at this mansion are rocking a very fancy winged serpent crest. and one of them gives the order to open the gate for Soren. As the massive doors part, she stands there ready for the family reunion from hell. She walks down a ridiculously long and empty hall, her stride full of a confidence that says, "I'd rather be anywhere else." A whole welcome party of butlers and maids lines the way, bowing in perfect sync, all greeting the young miss. Yep, she is definitely from a big shot family. This only sound is the tap of her boots on the pristine floor. And her first thought upon returning home: "I hate this place, love the warm family vibes." She continues up the grand staircase looking like she owns the joint she despises. From a window, a stern-looking man watches her approach, and Soren finally reaches a massive door at the end of her trek. She enters, formally announcing she has answered her father's summons. He turns around, looking every bit the disappointed, high-end mighty vampire lord. His first words are a guilt trip about her being away the entire break, followed by the classic "I hope you did not embarrass our family name" line. Soren just calmly replies that her time was not wasted, "Thank you very much." This kicks off the "Remember our status" lecture. They are one of the 10 great clans, you know. He lays it on thick, reminding her that as his daughter, her actions reflect on everyone. Internally, she is just rolling her eyes, having heard this exact speech 100 times already. Dad starts the guilt trip, complaining her wanting to leave the island is a stain on the family name, and the only reason he let her go was for results, so now he is here to collect. Soren just bites her lip, barely containing her absolute fury, because his ultimatum is simple: no results this year means she is trapped here for good. This task is simple and not at all stressful: become one of the top 10 students. This demand clearly hits her like a ton of bricks. As her mind flashes to the competition, a real murderer's row of top-tier vamps, she forces out a promise to do her best, looking absolutely thrilled about it. But her dad immediately explodes with power, red lightning everywhere, screaming that her best is for losers and she needs to do asterisk better asterisk. With his power still swirling, he decides to add another metric ton of pressure, revealing a whole bunch of other direct descendants are joining the academy too. This includes her fiancé, Sadger, who in a lovely vision is standing over her defeated body. So on top of everything, she has to network with the new kids and cozy up to Mr. Wonderful. In her eye, there is a reflection of a completely different guy, someone who actually looks kind. With no other choice, she just bows and takes her marching orders, walking out while reflecting on the life of a vampire, always a slave to the clan's will. Every step down the stairs is a reminder that she is trapped, unable to be with who she wants. And stepping out of the mansion, she is hit with one thought: there is no freedom here. Her mind immediately returns to the guy with glasses, wondering how long he can possibly survive in a place like this. Back with Novice, he is walking through a hall packed with other students, and it finally hits him: he is surrounded by a lot of vampires, while Chip just calmly wonders about the school's annual blood budget. Suddenly, a voice compliments his uniform, a classic icebreaker, but Novice is internally gagging at having to wear the same outfit as everyone else. This thought of blending in literally making him sick to his stomach. Someone in the crowd notes that this whole sea of vamps are just the first years, which has Novice questioning just how many of them even exist. Chip explains it is a mix of the newly turned and those just coming of age, which our boy just squints at, trying to process it all. Just then, a hard glare from behind catches his attention, and the guy gets right in his face, calling him out for staring. He stands there looking smug, clearly enjoying the confrontation. Before breaking into a grin and giving him a friendly punch, total fake out. He calls him out for staring like he is an alien, admitting they are rare but they exist, introducing himself as Styles and offering a handshake. Novice accepts, and just like that, he has made his first friend. This dude's vibe immediately reminds him of someone named Sly, and Styles is already in full-on buddy mode, saying they need allies for the upcoming test. As everyone around them starts networking, trying to make friends before the chaos begins, Novice awkwardly introduces himself, admitting he is a little freaked out by everything. But his new buddy Styles just grins, telling him to stick close and he will be fine. Then he gets all buddy-buddy, asking if Novice is from one of the big clans, and our boy is internally combusting, having zero clue what that even means. Styles leans in close, claiming he is in the exact same boat as him, explaining the whole point of this academy is to get recruited by the 10 great clans. If you have got the skills, they will apparently personally scout you for their ranks, which is exactly his plan to be the best of the best, obviously. Novice is just trying to process this, thinking they sound like vampire guilds, when the sound of confident footsteps echoes down the hall, and a voice from the shadows declares that is an impossible goal. A woman appears, asking how anyone can be the best when she is already here. Her expression is pure, unadulterated, bow down, peasants. She even strikes a pose, just soaking in her own hype, boasting that the Mora clan will have no choice but to pick her after seeing her skills. Styles immediately leans over to whisper some sage advice: pretty women are dangerous, especially the spellbinders, who are apparently extra trouble. With her super hearing, she catches every word and is definitely not amused. High above, a colony of bats watches the massive crowd of students gather, while some robed figures observe everyone through a glowing crystal ball. One of them thinks this whole test is a great way to apply pressure and see which of the new students are actually worth a damn. His buddy scoffs, saying anyone outside the clans is basically trash anyway. But a third observer warns that outsiders have surprised them before. Meanwhile, down in the grand hall, the students are all gathered for the opening ceremony. A very prim and proper proctor with glasses steps forward to address the crowd, immediately shouting for the attention of all the new students. This entire hall falls silent, every single vampire staring him down. He announces his job is to welcome them to the assessment that will decide their place here. This test is not just for a grade, it is to determine their very asterisk worth asterisk, no pressure. Because in this academy, as he screams, strength is the only thing that rules. Novice is already bored, guessing math is not a core subject. This proctor explains that depending on their results, they will get one of 3 colored pins, adding a little pep talk that even those at the bottom can rise to the top. This has Novice wondering just how powerful the vampires he has met so far actually are. Then the proctor brings up the wristbands they all received with their uniforms, and Novice glances down at the one on his own arm. Suddenly, it begins to glow with some very ominous red runes, which is when the proctor reveals the bands were made by their greatest spellbinders, and their purpose is to display everyone's blood power level for all to see. With a snap of his fingers, the proctor declares the test starts right now. And a wave of energy zaps all the students, activating their wristbands. Novice and his new buddy Styles both get hit with the jolt, and Styles checks his score a solid 2. Is that good or bad? The spellbinder girl immediately mocks him for being a weakling, just as she thought. She then turns her attention to Novice, demanding to see his number. Our boy is instantly on high alert, not loving this one bit, so he quickly covers his wristband with his other hand. This device is still glowing ominously underneath his palm. Back on stage, the proctor explains the numbers are on a scale of 1 to 10. He clarifies this is only asterisk a measure of their blood strength, not their total skill set. Things like physical power or actual experience are not factored in at all, and he adds that the number is not permanent and can be improved. He warns them not to get too hung up on this one metric for the assessment. Which of course means the entire hall immediately starts comparing scores. One guy is already bragging about his 5 like he is top of the class, while another dude gets roasted for only having a 3. The judgment is swift. Someone else gets annoyed, wondering why anyone would hide their number, and the gossip starts instantly. If you are hiding it, you must be weak. This is exactly when Styles leans in, trying to get a peek at what Novice is concealing. Styles gets a peek and is thrilled. Novice is a 2 just like him, instant bonding moment. But the spellbinder girl is absolutely revolted by this display of weakness. Fuming that she wasted her precious time talking to a pair of 2s, with a final withering glare she storms off, flashing her own score a 6. Novice is just processing this, wondering how these numbers are even calculated, because his internal system shows his actual blood aura is a 5 with a whole menu of blood-type bonuses. So he figured his score would reflect that, but clearly something's not adding up. Styles just shakes his head, guessing she was faking to use them since a 6 is pretty high. He pulls Novice into a hug, telling him not to sweat it is only one stat. Then Styles flexes hard, explaining he is a physical type so his low score is expected. Apparently, spellcasters are always full of themselves because their blood strength is naturally higher. This talk of physical and spellcaster types is ringing a bell for Novice, and he remembers Chip and the class selection cards from before. A quick flashback shows the 2 options, the physical Night Warrior and the magic-based Spellbinder. Novice then asks if there is a 3rd type of vampire, but Styles shuts that down fast, calling that class completely useless. He just assumes that since Novice's score is low, he must be a physical type too. His buddy adds that some of the strongest vamps are physical types who train their way to the top, leaving our boy to stare at his wristband, wondering if he is actually weak here. Meanwhile, Styles looks out at the crowd of students, calling them all sheep. He then notices a commotion drawing everyone's attention, and Styles explains the big news: 5 descendants from the great clans are here. These clans are apparently named after their founders, who all look incredibly menacing. First up is Tanya from the Velmoa clan, looking absolutely unhinged, followed by Silernit of the Varkath clan, striking a pose with some magic. Jagdar from the Marquess clan shows up, looking like he means business. Then there is Bronk of the Draven clan, who is already flexing on everyone. And finally, Zen from the Obsidianth clan, rocking the cool, stoic vibe. This whole squad of clan heirs stands together, basically owning the room. Styles gives him the simple breakdown: be their friend for an easy time or their enemy for hell. Our boy is just sweating bullets, realizing how many ways this can go wrong. All these clan kids have their own glowing wristbands naturally. So Novice immediately wonders if these are the strongest vamps in the school. His buddy clarifies they are the strongest ones here, second only to the legendary founders. This 5 of them just stand there, radiating an aura of do not even talk to us. But the long-haired one, Zen, seems to be staring right at Novice, which has our boy totally bugging out, hoping it is just his imagination. Just then, another student with light brown hair calls out to him from behind, giving him this super smug, challenging look, before breaking into a friendly wave, showing off his own score of 4. A new guy with glasses is already over this, wondering what the point of the scores is. And he figures it is all rigged just to make the clan kids look good, fair point. Up on stage, the proctor claps his hands, getting everyone's attention back, saying now that they have all judged each other, the real test can begin. With a truly evil smirk, he announces the first assessment is a go, clarifying this is just the first part asterisk of their little welcome exam. This part, he explains, will be taken in teams of 3. So their first task is a social nightmare: find 2 partners right now. As for what the test is asterisk, that is a surprise, his eye glowing red for extra drama. This proctor acknowledges that some students might be good at things other than raw blood power, but he drops the real kicker, they are being graded on speed. Someone in the crowd immediately calls foul, saying the strong will just team up, and the whole hall starts buzzing, realizing the clan kids could form a super team. But a girl in the crowd shuts that down, pointing out the descendants are all rivals, arguing they are too busy trying to one-up each other to ever cooperate. Another loud clap from the proctor cuts through all the speculation, and he addresses the lone wolves, knowing some want to do this solo. This reason is simple. Vampires do not fight alone, as a monster-slaying flashback shows, because being a team player is apparently a core vampire value, who knew? He then pulls out a pocket watch, giving them 5 minutes to team up before it all kicks off. This proctor points dramatically and yells go, kicking off the social Hunger Games, and the entire hall just erupts into a chaotic mess of students trying to team up. Naturally, everyone immediately swarms the clan kids, practically begging to be on their team. Styles just grins at Novice, saying they only need to find one more person. Chip, however, is not impressed by this guy's instant assumption they are a team. Novice figures he is friendly enough, and since they are both twos, it is not like he has options. He decides to shoot a shot, calling out to another student nearby. This guy turns around, looking annoyed, and flashes his wristband, a score of 1. Without a single word, he just turns and walks away, a truly brutal rejection. Meanwhile, Styles tries to recruit a different guy, calling them the dream team of twos, which is confirmed by a close-up on the guy's wristband, also a 2. This potential teammate immediately shoves Styles away, saying a team of twos is doomed. He then walks off to find a higher-level group, leaving Styles in the dust. Styles is left fuming, muttering that it sucks no one wanted him in the first place. He then points out that Novice does not know anyone either, so they are stuck together. This two of them stand alone, wondering if there is anyone else left for them. Suddenly, Chip spots someone from his perch on Novice's shoulder. A kid with pinkish hair is standing all by himself, looking completely isolated. A quick peek at his wristband shows exactly why he has got a score of 1. Seeing an opportunity, Novice walks right up and asks the loner to join their group. This pink-haired kid is stunned, warning Novice that his blood strength is only a 1, but our boy just smiles, saying his is a 2, so they are basically in the same boat. Styles comes running over, all hyped to meet their new strong teammate, and immediately faceplants when he sees the guy's a 1. With a world-weary sigh, he just accepts that beggars cannot be choosers. He then gets right in the new guy's face, asking if he is at least a spellcaster. But nope, the kid nervously admits he is a physical type, dashing all hope. Styles is so disappointed, muttering that teams are supposed to have at least one magic user. Trying to rally the troops, he pulls the kid in, asks for his name, and says they will make it work. And the new guy, Nomo, promises to try his best not to drag them down. With that settled, Styles declares them a team and demands a celebratory fist bump. This 3 underdogs bump fists, officially forming the probably gonna lose squad. Chip, of course, calls out how cheesy this is for 3 guys who just met. Novice is fine with it though, thinking they will need to watch each other's backs. Across the hall, all the other students have finished forming their own groups. And Novice notices the clan kids did not team up, but they also did not pick any weaklings. Just then, the proctor announces that their 5 minutes are up, explaining that the first teams will be chosen when their wristbands activate. And on cue, a random trio's bracelets start glowing an ominous red. A massive pillar of light then erupts from the ceiling, engulfing the chosen students. And just like that, the first team is up, told to just walk into a mystery portal. So the 3 chosen students head towards the swirling blue energy, getting sucked right in without a second thought, which leaves the rest of the hall buzzing, trying to guess what fresh hell is waiting inside. It does not take long for them to find out because someone's already coming back. And by coming back, I mean they're spat out looking like they just wrestled a blender. This poor dude's got arrows sticking out of him, which is generally a bad sign. This guy with glasses is bugging out, realizing this is not just a pop quiz. Yeah, the whole crowd agrees this welcome exam is maybe a little asterisk intense, but the proctor could not care less, just calling up the next batch of victims. Another team marches into the meat grinder while the clock keeps on ticking, and surprise, surprise, they come out looking even worse than the first group. A student in the crowd points out the obvious. This is a pattern and no one's talking. His buddy speculates it could be monsters or traps, you know, the fun stuff. Nomo, our newly recruited one, is starting to have some serious second thoughts, because he looks down and sees his wristband glowing along with Novice's and Styles's. Welp, looks like the underdog squad is up and there is no turning back now. This portal waits, looking like a giant blue washing machine set to brutal. Styles tries to stay positive, hoping for a better run than that 6 who dissed them. Chip, meanwhile, looks entirely too confident for a tiny bat and a top hat. Novice gets his game face on, thinking this is his first real step as a vampire, and the underdog trio marches right into the swirling blue portal, landing in a massive, dark, and generally unwelcoming hall. Nomo is already panicking, convinced they have somehow failed before even starting. But Styles just tells him to calm down, all they have to do is reach the door. Suddenly, Novice's ear twitches, sensing something is not right, and he screams for his new teammates to watch out, just as a glowing arrow whips past Styles' face, embedding itself in the stone floor with a loud crack. Styles has a sudden, horrifying realization about why the other teams were so full of holes, and right on cue, the ceiling just unleashes an absolute storm of arrows on them, with Styles immediately taking a few hits and crying out in pain. Novice, also getting nicked, yells that they have to push forward, and he starts dodging through the deadly rain with incredible speed, moving with a grace that definitely does not match his score of 2. A quick flashback reveals that for him, dodging arrows was basically a daily chore. Styles yells at Nomo to get moving, trying to keep the team together, but the kid just casually snatches an arrow right out of the air, earning a very impressed good job from Styles, who is then immediately rewarded with another arrow straight to the chest. Styles, meanwhile, is getting absolutely skewered, annoyed that Novice is doing just fine. But he figures this whole ordeal is basically custom-made for physical-type vampires anyway, and the trio finally makes it across the arrow-filled floor to the exit door, where Styles leans against it, asking if his battered teammates are alright. He then grits his teeth and yanks an arrow right out of his own arm, before brushing it off, saying his vampire healing will take care of it as the wound steams shut. Chip the Bat reminds Novice that this is a timed trial, so they really need to hurry, and Novice pushes the door open, thinking they have finally passed the first test. Nope, they have just entered another massive hall, this one filled with floating blue orbs. Styles points out the next door is locked, guessing the key is hidden in one of the bubbles. So he immediately makes a break for the nearest orb containing a key. He leaps through the air, fully committing to this one random choice, swooping down to snatch the orb with a confident flourish, and lands triumphantly, holding up the key like he has already won. He rushes over to the door and jams the key into the lock, only for it to not work, sending him into a full-blown tantrum about his terrible luck. Novice looks at the sea of identical orbs, wondering how they are supposed to find the right one, while Nomo mutters this is exactly when a spellcaster would have been useful. But Novice just starts scanning the room, his eyes glowing with some hidden ability, and his vision highlights the correct key in green, revealing all the others are fakes. Well, look at that. With his special vision activated, Novice just reaches out and snags the correct orb. And a system message confirms he has got the right key, no luck involved, just straight-up cheats. Chip, of course, immediately demands praise for being such a helpful part of the system. So while Styles is still panting from his failed attempt, Novice strolls over to the door, sliding the key into the lock with a perfect, satisfying click. He then turns back with a smug little grin, asking if his teammates are coming or what. Nomo and Styles are just stunned, writing it all off as a 1 in a million lucky guess. In fact, Styles is already calling Novice their lucky charm, a total 180 from 2 minutes ago. This trio then steps through the doorway into a chamber filled with an eerie green light. It is another long, empty hall, but this time there is a glowing magic circle at the far end. A closer look reveals the circle on the floor and an altar holding several vials of something. They all stop, wondering what kind of trap they have walked into now. Nomo, determined to prove his worth, volunteers to go first and test the waters. He kneels down and cautiously touches the glowing runes on the floor, and a massive pillar of searing light erupts, engulfing his hand. He yelps in pain, pulling back a smoking hand, clearly in agony. It feels like touching the sun, he warns, saying they might not survive crossing it. Styles points to the 9 vials on the altar, wondering if they are for healing or some other test. Beside them, Novice spots a note written in what looks suspiciously like blood. This message is clear: they can only choose 3 vials before the rest disappear. Nomo is convinced there is a spell or some hidden trick to the vials, and these potions are just sitting there looking suspiciously important. But Novice's system is already kicking in, his eye glowing with that familiar cheat code green. His vision lighting up with info on every single vial. Yep, this is basically a walkthrough. This system reveals their effects, some boost blood aura, others grant sun resistance. With all the answers laid out, Novice confidently announces he knows which ones to grab, but he is still wondering why there are 9 different blood types for just 3 people. There has to be a deeper meaning here, unless the proctors are just chaotic. Styles, ever the strategist, suggests one guy just chugs them all and makes a run for it. An idea Nomo immediately shuts down with a very firm nope. Getting impatient, Styles decides to just grab some and get it over with, but Novice snatches his wrist, stopping him cold. Our boy lays out a much more fair plan. 9 vials means 3 for each of them. They will drink them as they cross to stay healed, giving everyone an equal shot as he snags his picks. Chip immediately calls him out, pointing out he took all the sun resistance potions for himself. A quick system pop-up confirms it. B+ and B blood are the key to surviving the light. Novice is sweating, realizing this is a rare chance to get stats from new blood types he needs. His teammates, however, are blissfully unaware, just grabbing their 3 vials like it is all the same. With their potions in hand, the trio stares down the path of glowing, searing pain. And Styles gives the signal, ready to start their mad dash across the floor. And they are off, the trio sprinting across the searing hot floor, which immediately erupts into pillars of light, basically a vampire barbecue. Novice grits his teeth as the system confirms he is taking sunlight damage. And yeah, no kidding, his HP is already starting to plummet. Chip points out this magic is even worse than the actual sun. Great. Our boy glances back, worried about his new friends, who are predictably getting absolutely fried by the light. Novice realizes his sun resistance is holding up, but his teammates are definitely not. He decides to take a risk, uncorking one of his special potions. One of those B+ sun resistance vials he so cleverly snagged for himself, and down the hatch it goes, no time to waste, sending his system into overdrive, HP restored and sun resistance boosted. Nomo, who is still getting cooked, looks up completely baffled, because Novice is suddenly standing right in front of him, looking totally unbothered. Without a word, Novice just yanks him up by the collar, and then grabs Styles, announcing he will graciously help them with this one. He literally starts dragging his two teammates through the light like luggage, leaving Styles just floored, thinking Novice is taking all the pain for them. Nomo's equally stunned, believing our boy is making some noble sacrifice. But Chip knows the truth, calling him out for feeling guilty about hoarding all the good potions. What a hero. Novice pushes through the pain, clinging to his new vampire code, determined to keep at least some of his principles intact, and with a final burst of speed, he drags his team over the line, stumbling across the threshold and collapsing in a heap. A proctor calmly walks over, congratulating them on a job well done, while Styles just wipes his face, completely spent but relieved. But there is no time to rest. A giant clock appears as the next group is called in. That ticking sound is pure nightmare fuel for the exhausted students, and the proctor is shocked when only two from the next team emerge. He just shrugs it off, saying it is normal for some to fail, absolutely brutal. Novice watches other students laughing, realizing nobody here cares about the fallen. Then the head proctor steps up to announce the official results for everyone, explaining with a nasty grin that their bands will reveal their rankings. A light flashes across the hall, illuminating all the waiting students, and the first-place team is revealed, a trio of bored-looking elites. This crowd immediately starts murmuring that, of course, the descendants would be fastest. In second place, some guy named Bronx strikes a victory pose, which only confirms the crowd's theory about the descendants dominating the top spots. A rival grits his teeth, annoyed that Bronx's team barely beat his own, but he settles for third place with a smug, competitive smirk. A spotlight suddenly shines on the third-place team, and the other students are absolutely floored by the result, because in third place it is Novice, Styles, and Nomo, who are all handling the news with varying degrees of grace. This crowd immediately starts whispering, wondering who these nobodies are. While Novice facepalms, realizing his plan to lay low is officially dead. Another student, however, looks on with a confident smirk, until his own wristband reveals he is in fourth place. His face immediately contorts into pure, unadulterated rage. He has never been fourth, he is always in the top three. Glaring at Novice's team, he is convinced they must have cheated, and he swears he is going to find out how they did it. This entire hall is now staring down our unlikely trio, with everyone wondering how this was even possible. One guy speculates they must be from a powerful clan, but his friend points out he does not recognize any of them. This first guy scoffs, saying their low numbers prove they are nobodies. Above them all, a massive bat-like creature watches the proceedings, as Novice just stands there calm amidst the chaos. This proctors, however, write it all off as pure luck. Yeah, sure, luck. Meanwhile, the proctors are having a little chat, wondering if it was all just luck, and one of them notes that Novice seems to have some kind of sixth sense for finding keys, while another tries to rationalize it, saying their physical builds help them out. But they all agree the next assessments will reveal the truth soon enough. Back in the main hall, the head proctor claps his hands to get everyone's attention, announcing the first part of the test is over and sending them to their dorms. With the next trial set for tomorrow, two cloaked assistants teleport in to lead the way, and the students are shuffled out of the hall like a tired herd. Mr. Fourth Place, however, is still shooting daggers at Novice's back. This guy holds a grudge. This scene shifts to the academy grounds under a very spooky, dramatic sky, where an assistant explains they are all getting random rooms on random floors. A new rule is laid down: anyone who leaves the dorms is instantly disqualified. Keys are then handed out to each student one by one, and our trio takes a look at what they have been given, revealing their room numbers. Yep, they are all on different floors. Novice points out they are being separated for the night, but Styles just claps him on the shoulder, saying they are still a team in spirit. He then gives Novice a surprisingly sincere thank you, even bowing his head a little, leaving our boy completely speechless, not used to genuine appreciation. Nomo chimes in with a grin, adding that of course they are thankful, now they are on every single teacher's radar. Nomo is absolutely beaming, thrilled they are in the top three, but Chip immediately pops in to remind Novice about that whole laying low plan. Whoops. Getting serious, Nomo says he has a thank you gift for our boy and holds out a pretty sweet-looking pendant. He explains his family are jewelers and he made this one himself, leaving Novice genuinely touched as he accepts the necklace. With that, the team splits up for the night, heading to their separate rooms. Our boy finds his assigned quarters, which look suspiciously like a prison cell. He just face-plants onto the bed, completely drained from the day's chaos, letting out a huge sigh about how intense that whole ordeal was. Chip, ever the cheerleader, wonders what kind of test is coming up next, but Novice clutches the new pendant, refocusing on his real mission here. He is not planning on sticking around this academy forever, that is for sure. For a moment, he just lies there, plotting his next move. Meanwhile, the other students are all fast asleep, including our angry rival, but someone is definitely creeping down the hallway late at night. A shadowy visitor stops right outside Novice's door, room 709, and with a single clawed finger, they start picking the lock, which clicks open with terrifying ease, revealing a menacing silhouette with glowing red eyes in the doorway. So while Novice is sleeping like a log, probably dreaming of blood bags, that shadowy figure from before is looming right over his bed, its clawed hand reaching down to do who knows what. But psych. We cut to Styles, who is wide awake in his own room. He is just way too amped up about his team actually getting third place. This guy decides to burn off the extra energy with some push-ups, a totally normal reaction. Just then, a shadow falls over his door, and this one is not a dream. He is still oblivious, thinking about getting a drink instead. And that is when he finally turns, his eyes going wide with shock, because Mr. Fourth Place is in his room telling him to shut up or else. This angry rival is just radiating pure menace, clearly here to start something, and he gives Styles a smug little speech about knowing his situation. Styles is officially terrified, swallowing hard under the guy's intense glare. Those red eyes are just blazing with some serious I never lose energy. He gets right to it, demanding to know exactly how they cheated to get into the top 3, and when Styles does not answer, he grabs him, promising to make him pay. But suddenly another figure steps into the room, interrupting the interrogation. This rival turns around, completely caught off guard by the new arrival. A fist clenches, dripping with blood, looks like the party's just getting started. Then we cut to some other dude asking the rival if he found anything useful. This rival's accomplice looks at his bloody hand, admitting he might have pushed a little too hard, but Styles would not talk, just kept on crying and begging. This just infuriates the rival, who found their fighting skills embarrassing, and he is convinced there is no way they pass so quickly with such weak moves. He gets right in Styles' face, screaming at him to spill their secret. When that fails, his buddy just kicks Styles across the room, real subtle interrogation. Wiping his hands, the rival scoffs about the filthy blood, because of course he does. He drops the cloth, deciding there is only one person left to get answers from. Telling his lackey to go be a lookout, he announces he will handle this next one himself. And with that, Mr. Fourth Place stalks off, still fuming about his rank. He marches down a dark hallway, a man on a mission of pure spite. His destination is room 506, which has to be Nomo's. His fingers sharpen into claws as he gets ready to break in. But a voice from behind suddenly tells him that is a terrible idea. He spins around as the newcomer calls him out by name, Soren. A woman is leaning against the wall, arms crossed, looking completely over his drama. Soren immediately gets defensive, asking what a second year is doing in their dorm. She just smirks, saying she is on guard duty in case anyone was causing trouble, like him. Citing their relationship, she says she will turn a blind eye this time, but her eyes glow as she warns him she cannot protect him if he takes another step. Soren is absolutely seething, clearly not used to being told no. Backing down, he tries to play it off, claiming he was just curious. He gets right in her face, grabbing her shoulder with a sharp warning. His next words a threat to end her if she ever uses this against him, adding that it does not matter if she is his fiancée or not. She just sighs, completely unfazed by his little temper tantrum. Turns out she was actually there to check if Novice had passed the first stage, and she is a bit confused why our boy already has a Jagdar on his case. At least that idiot Soren bought her cover story, but something's still bugging her, like the fresh blood she saw on his goon's hands. Meanwhile, Novice wakes up with a massive yawn, looking way too shredded for this early. A glance out the window reveals it is day, but the sun has not risen, which is weird. Chip immediately pops up to ask if he has a sun-burning fetish, because of course he does. Novice is not amused, giving a sarcastic laugh while stretching out the soreness. After getting dressed, he figures he should go find his teammates. He peeks out, thinking they need to strategize for the next assessment. And throwing on his cloak, he steps out into the empty dorm hallway. This floorboards creak as he makes his way down the corridor, eventually stopping outside room 210, which has to be Styles's. He gives the door a knock, telling Styles it is him. Novice tries the polite approach, saying he just wants to talk, but all he gets is dead silence from room 210. Chip just assumes Styles is a super deep sleeper, a reasonable guess, so Novice leans in for a quick sniff, as one does. His expression instantly darkens, something is very, very wrong. A red aura flares as his vampire senses go into overdrive, and he realizes he can smell blood coming from inside the room. Okay, so much for knocking, he's going in now. When the handle will not turn, he decides to just use his shoulder. And by shoulder, I mean he kicks the entire door off its hinges. Both he and Chip are completely stunned by the scene inside. Styles is just laid out on the floor, beaten and bloody. Our boy is speechless, trying to process what just happened. His teammate is unconscious, surrounded by his own blood. With his last bit of strength, Styles wheezes out Novice's name. And that is it, Novice goes full-on rage mode, fangs and all. He rushes to his friend's side, screaming his name, desperately trying to get any kind of response out of him. Looking at his own hands now covered in blood, he is in disbelief. It has only been one day and his team is already falling apart. Novice is having a full-on main character crisis, wondering why his friends are basically magnets for pain, and he is desperately trying to keep Styles from checking out permanently. When a system alert pops up, helpfully confirming his teammate is about to die. Then it offers him a blood bond, which sounds totally safe and not at all like a cursed contract. Our boy has no clue what that is, but he is laser-focused on the important question: will it save his friend? This triggers a tragic flashback about a past failure, reminding him he cannot just turn Styles into a vampire since he already is one. With zero other options, he decides to roll the dice on this mysterious new skill, grabbing his teammate's hand, absolutely determined not to lose another person. And just like that, the system announces the blood bond is active, no takebacks now. A massive wave of dark energy explodes from Novice, who looks like he's going Super Saiyan Vampire Edition. But the bond's success comes with a catch. Now they are both asterisk in critical condition, whoops. So the system offers a new choice, share HP like some kind of supernatural data plan. Novice does not even hesitate, screaming at the system to just save him already, costing him a solid 50 HP in the process, a steep price. Miraculously, steam starts pouring off Styles as his wounds literally seal themselves shut. Leaving Chip to lose his tiny mind, completely baffled by this insane healing ability. A moment later, Styles' eyes crack open and he is actually conscious. He sits up, totally bewildered that he is still alive after that absolute beatdown. Novice, looking drained, just gives him a weak smile, saying he is tougher than he looks. Then Styles explains he took the beating because he refused to snitch on their team, a true bro. Novice is absolutely seething, demanding to know who is responsible for this. His teammate reveals it was a Jagdar, one of the direct descendants. Confused, our boy cannot figure out why a big shot would even bother with them. Turns out the guy was just salty, convinced they cheated to pass the assessment. Chip chimes in, outraged that Styles took a beating to protect Novice, because he is handsome, obviously. But Styles grabs him, suddenly realizing if they came for him, Nomo is next on the list. Their eyes go wide at the exact same horrifying thought, and they are immediately sprinting down the hallway, no time to waste. Novice kicks down another door because that is just how he knocks now. They burst into the room, screaming their other teammate's name, only to find Nomo slumped on his bed, impaled and bleeding out. Our boy dashes forward, knowing this is beyond bad. Styles is having a complete meltdown, screaming about how their good luck just tanked. But with glowing red eyes, Novice thinks he might have one last play. He grabs Nomo, unleashing that same dark blood power from before, leaving Styles totally baffled since Novice is not supposed to be a spellcaster. This system dings again, confirming another 50 HP down the drain for a successful bond. Just like before, steam pours off Nomo as his fatal wounds magically seal shut. Styles is just staring, demanding to know what the hell Novice even is. Looking completely drained, Novice admits this is not normal vampire stuff, but they will freak out later. Right, so after saving Nomo, Novice is just holding him, still processing the chaos. A little while later, the whole team is outside, getting a debrief from some official-looking dude. This guy confirms Nomo's alive but out cold, calling it a miracle he survived at all. Novice is already deep in thought, wrestling with the what-ifs of using that blood bond. He walks over to the official, clearly not done with this conversation. But two guards immediately block his path, telling him he is not going anywhere. With a dark look, Novice quietly tells them to get out of his way. This kid gets right in the guard's face, completely unintimidated, and then he just snaps, eyes glowing red as he screams at them to move. Luckily, the guy in charge tells his goons to stand down, figuring Novice has something to say. Our boy wastes no time telling the official exactly who did this, a salty Jagdar. Mr. Glasses immediately asks for proof, because accusing a direct descendant is a big deal. Novice just points, saying his nearly dead teammate is all the proof he needs. But the official plays devil's advocate, suggesting it could all be a lie to frame someone important. This just infuriates Novice, who cannot believe they might just let this slide. Then Mr. Glasses launches into a lecture about how their kind is not exactly welcome out there. He explains they are hunted day and night and there are no rules to protect them. His final point is brutal: if you get attacked, it is your own fault for being weak. For a second, Novice is just stunned before breaking into a seriously unhinged laugh. He calls out the hypocrisy, asking if they'd be this chill if a * direct descendant had been the one attacked. Novice just snaps, accepting their twisted rules with a terrifying grin. He gets right in the official's face, promising to go too far with whoever did this. His threat crystal clear, he will return the favor, no matter their status. With that, he just turns and walks away, leaving the guy to stew on it. Over his shoulder, he warns the official to stay out of his way. And then he rejoins the massive crowd of students waiting for the next test. Some guys in the crowd notice their numbers have thinned out a bit. Learning that only the top students are left for this round, Novice stands among them, his eyes scanning for one person in particular. He spots the Jagdar, Soren, and decides right now is not the time for payback. Yet clenching his fist, he is just desperate for a way to get even. Chip, of course, is loving this new bloodthirsty attitude, peak entertainment for him. Mr. Glasses starts the briefing, noting that of the top 30, only 28 are present. With a nasty grin, he announces the next assessment is a sparring match. The students immediately start freaking out about having to fight the direct descendants, but the official lays out the rules. One person is chosen at random, and that person gets to pick * anyone they want to fight. Novice's eyes practically pop out of his head. This is it. He flashes back to his nearly dead teammates, realizing this is his perfect, rule-abiding chance for revenge. This official adds that while results do not matter, they will be fighting in front of a huge crowd, so they better give a good show. Suddenly, the students are all standing in a massive, empty field, when giant magic circles erupt beneath them, glowing with power, and a flash of light zaps the entire group away instantly. They reappear in a huge arena, surrounded by a roaring crowd. These contestants are totally stunned. The whole academy is here to watch. One student points out that even some of the second years showed up. Meanwhile, in the stands, a girl teases her friend Soren for coming. Soren just gives her a deadpan look, clearly not amused. Her friend keeps poking, saying Soren's been acting weird lately. Then she drops the bomb. She is here to see Soren's fiancé compete. That one word. Fiancé earns her a menacing death glare, but her friend is loving the drama, calling it a fated love triangle. She lays out the choice, the forced fiancé or some secret human love. Soren quickly denies being here for him, just as we see a shot of a smug, white-haired guy in the arena. Down below, a contestant notices there are outsiders in the crowd too. Mr. Glasses announces that 3 of their top professors are also watching, and by professors, he means 3 ominous hooded figures on thrones. One of them remarks on how many descendants are participating this year. Another adds there is a surprise among them he is keen to watch, wonder who that could be. Mr. Glasses lays it out, whoever's name is called gets to pick their opponent, and the students all march into the arena like it is the first day of gladiator school. Novice knows he was supposed to keep his head down, but this is the perfect legal way to get back at that Jagdar. His eyes glow with intent, some people just cannot get away with things. Right on cue, the official announces the first match is about to begin. Suddenly, a bracelet on one of the contestants starts to glow, belonging to a big smug-looking guy named Bronk Driven. He cracks his knuckles, scanning the crowd for a victim. His finger lands on a group of terrified-looking dudes, and the poor guy he picked cannot believe his bad luck. With the signal to begin, the two fighters square up. This challenger makes the first move, rushing forward with everything he has got, landing a rapid-fire combo right on Bronk's chest. For a split second, the kid is stunned he is actually hitting him, until Bronk asks if he is being tickled, not even flinching. His opponent just stares, completely at a loss. Then Bronk throws a single, devastating punch to the gut, sending the guy flying backwards through the air. He crashes into the ground hard enough to leave a crater, total one shot. This rest of the students just watch, completely floored by the power gap. And Bronk Driven is declared the winner, looking like he just finished a light warm-up. His fan club, of course, is losing their minds in the stands. Soren's friend, however, looks bored out of her mind, calling it predictable. She notes the power difference between direct descendants and everyone else is just too massive. Novice watches from the arena floor, seeing that overwhelming strength firsthand. Realizing this is exactly what was used on his teammates. And now he is promising to return every bit of that pain to the Jagdar. This next match kicks off with a guy charging in, fist first, but his opponent stops the punch cold with a clawed, bloody hand. He then slashes straight through the attacker's chest, leaving the poor dude on the ground and bleeding out. With a smug look, the winner tells him he was totally outmatched. Back in the stands, Soren's friend wonders if any VIPs are watching, noting the clan heads are absent. She scoffs that they are all just first years, nothing compared to the real power players. This whole tournament, she suspects, has some other hidden agenda. Suddenly, she is in the arena herself, facing down a punch from some guy, and she catches his fist with zero effort, mentioning she'd prefer her whip. But since weapons are not allowed, this will just have to do. As she proceeds to twist and rip his entire arm off, this poor guy screams, arm completely gone, yeah, that will do it. Soren's friend calls this whole thing just a power trip for the direct descendants, smirking that it is all to remind everyone of their place in the food chain. Meanwhile, the hooded professors are scrying on that smug, white-haired fiancé, but their conversation has shifted, with one asking why his colleague is so focused on him. This old-timer admits it is strange for a low-level kid to make the top 10, calling it luck. His masked colleague, however, says he noticed something in the details, revealing that Novice's blood power level has somehow jumped from a 2 to a 3. This other professor is shocked, guessing the trials powered him up, which is apparently a first. Annoyed, he tells the masked guy to go check it himself if it is bothering him so much. This masked professor stands, admitting something about this whole situation just feels wrong. He orders them to make sure Novice fights last, not until he returns from his investigation. And with that, he is off to verify this power-up in person. Back in the arena, another match kicks off between some guy and a girl with glasses. He throws a kick, but she blocks it with a casual energy shield, and in a flash, she's behind him with a creepy peekaboo, before a massive pillar of light obliterates the ground where he stood. She then has the nerve to ask if he is okay, putting on a real good show of concern. Her face twists into a vicious grin as she finishes her sentence. Because if he is not down, she will just have to keep stomping him into the floor. Meanwhile, one of Novice's injured teammates hobbles into the arena on a crutch, and a girl in the crowd immediately recognizes him from the first test, wondering why he is not in bed if he is that badly hurt. He is not here to watch, though. He is staring right at Novice. His teammate says he had to come, worried Novice is about to do something stupid for them, begging him not to throw away his future for revenge. Just then, the announcer calls up the next fighter, the #1 student Zen. This guy strolls into the arena looking like he owns the place, and the crowd goes wild. His opponent, a big bald dude, grins that he will not go down easy, a classic pre-squash line. This match begins, and Zen's eyes just glow with this intense red energy, as his challenger winds up for a big punch full of hope and bad decisions, and is immediately slammed into the ground without Zen visibly moving a muscle. This other students are completely baffled, asking if he was even touched, with one guy admitting he barely saw it and could not have stopped it. Soren's friend stretches, bored, saying all the interesting fights are over now, but Soren just says, not yet, clearly waiting for a specific match, and right on cue a bracelet starts glowing. It is the smug, white-haired fiancé. This system tells him to pick his opponent, and his face is pure ice. He steps forward, walking toward the remaining contestants, his eyes scanning the crowd before locking onto his target. This smug fiancé points down, dramatically declaring, I pick him, and his finger is aimed right at the guy who beat up Novice's team, Jagdar, who just grins, looking way too happy to be chosen. Meanwhile, that masked professor is using a giant crystal to monitor all the students, confident he can spot any weird power fluctuations from his little spy room. He places his hand on a magic circle, demanding to see the data for Novice Stormrider, and the system starts pulling up the files, taking its sweet time. While the professor grins like a villain, ready to uncover some juicy secret, instead his screen just explodes with a ton of warning pop-ups, because Novice's file is completely glitched, listing him as a human vampire. That smug look vanishes instantly, replaced with pure, unadulterated shock. He stumbles back from the crystal, totally refusing to believe what he just saw. His face is a mask of horror as the reality of the situation sinks in, and realizing the danger, he clenches a fist, knowing he has to stop Novice's fight. This panic sets in, he needs to get down there and shut this down now asterisk. He bolts down the hall, mind racing that this has never happened before, thinking this whole tournament was just a PR stunt for the Descendants' power. Now he is just praying Novice does not go up against one of them, because if this secret gets out, it could shatter the entire Academy's foundation. So he sprints, desperately trying to prevent a total disaster. This masked professor finally makes it to the arena floor, and immediately realizes he is way too late to stop anything. Jagdar, meanwhile, is just oozing smugness, calling Novice stupid, and gloating that taking on a direct descendant is just asking to die. Even Novice's little bat buddy is nervous, asking if there is a plan, but our boy admits he is just gonna have to wing it, because one thing is certain, he is here to deliver a beatdown. Back in the stands, Soren's friend cannot believe someone was dumb enough to challenge a descendant, while Soren just looks on, worried as her friend calls Novice totally clueless. This friend just hopes Jagdar does not turn him into a fine paste. Having failed to stop it, the masked professor returns to his colleagues, who find him in full panic mode, insisting they have to shut this down immediately. His colleague tells him to chill, saying Jagdar would not kill someone in public probably. Down in the arena, the signal is given and the fight begins. Jagdar promises to introduce Novice to a world of pain, a real original threat, his shadow distorting as he prepares to move, and he lunges forward with a lightning-fast kick, which Novice blocks with a single arm, stopping him cold. This force of the blow sends our boy skidding back across the arena floor, and a little damage window pops up showing he barely took a scratch. Novice is shocked, realizing he took damage even asterisk through asterisk his guard, while Jagdar just smirks, saying he is gonna have fun with this one. Without warning, he slashes Novice's arm wide open, but Novice retaliates, landing a solid punch to his back, following up with another hard shot right to the guts. A flurry of blows sends damage numbers flying, though Jagdar looks bored, as our boy keeps up the pressure, launching another attack from the air, only for Jagdar to summon a massive energy claw to block it effortlessly. This blow sends Novice skidding across the ground, with Jagdar laughing his head off, gloating that this is what happens when you get cocky, real original stuff. From the sidelines, Novice's injured teammate knows this is all for their sake, lamenting that no matter what they do, they cannot touch the Descendants. His face hardens, realizing this power imbalance is why they get away with everything. Elsewhere, the girl with glasses and her crew watch on, calling Novice a poor fool, and she smirks, knowing Jagdar is not going to let this end so easily. Back on his feet, Novice says he has a question for him, which Jagdar assumes means he is about to beg for mercy, classic villain brain. Instead, Novice asks if he was the one who hurt his friend Nomo. A sudden flashback shows a younger, bloodied kid clutching a necklace, revealing the brutal state Jagdar left him in. Jagdar plays dumb for a second, pretending he has no idea who Nomo is, but his face twists into a nasty grin, admitting he remembers that stupid idiot perfectly. This flashback shows him looming over a battered Nomo, demanding to know what happened, his hand crackling with energy as he interrogates the kid. Nomo, slammed against a wall, just insists his friends are strong, begging Jagdar to take it all out on him instead of the others, even offering to be his personal punching bag, a truly terrible negotiation tactic. Jagdar just calls him an idiot before smashing the ground right next to his head. Back in the present, he is laughing, recounting how Nomo begged for his friend's safety, and gloats that they ended up as punching bags anyway. What a class act. Novice just stands there silent as his entire aura begins to darken, taking a slow, deliberate breath to contain the absolute rage building inside. He clutches the necklace, the very same one Nomo was protecting, his eyes flaring red as he swears no one else will die on his watch. A torrent of dark red energy just explodes from him, his form completely changing, which finally wipes that smug look right off Jagdar's face. Now fully powered up, Novice promises to make him pay for everything. Up in the stands, even the masked professor is taken aback, admitting that power is strong, while his panicked colleague is screaming that they have to stop the match asterisk now asterisk. This other professor just waves him off, pointing out that Novice is still losing anyway. This masked professor frantically tries to explain they have got it all wrong, clarifying that he is not worried about the student who just powered up. But he is absolutely terrified for Jagdar, the guy who is about to get his face rearranged.